Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV. I hope you guys are well, wherever it is that you may be around the world. And we are here to do that season review show with a panel as well. We have got a panel joining us today on the show as well. Big up to every single one of you here already. We're going to crack on quickly with some transfer talk, and then we're going to go into the season review when the boys come in a bit as well in the next 15 minutes or so. Big up to you all. Lots to talk about before we get into the interesting talks around the players and what they have achieved this season. Our ratings on Tiermaker will be going on today. Big show. Big up to every single one of you. But before we start this, we're going to go through some quick transfer news and then delve into it. Let's cue the intro. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV. I hope you guys are well, wherever it is that you may be around the world. And just to bring you guys into the whole attention thing, this might be my last show until next week. I am moving house on Friday, so I will be trying to do in and out streams, maybe just doing like clips and that until next week. But we will be bringing transfer news solidly next week once the beginning of June starts. The transfer window opens on the 8th of June, so then we'll have much more to talk about at that point closer to the time. But yeah, this will probably be my last stream till next week, full live stream until next week, just so that I can get myself in, get myself moved in. It'll be a new surrounding, new ideas, new everything, ready for the new season for GNA TV as well. Over 25 of you here already. Big up to every single one of you. Please smash the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. We're going to start quickly with some news. I'm just going to let people know in the Discord we're live as well. I forgot to do that. All right, so yeah, we're going to start off with some quick breaking news that's come thick and fast. Big up to every single one of you, Serves, Chelsea fans, Seppers, M3 football star, Joy the Boy, Daniel, Chelsea fan, all of you guys. Hope you're well. Lee Bell is in the house as well. Panel is coming, mate. Panel is coming soon. And as always, big ups to GNA TV chat. Big up to every single one of you in the GNA TV chat. The best community in the world. Big up to AK in the house. I hope you're well. Guys, I'm looking a little bit ruggy today, but I am getting my haircut tomorrow. Everything's full, thick and fast with the house thing, man. I've got so much going on in my life at the moment, especially when we're moving in this week. Yes, we're going to be talking about that now, football style as well. Big up to Matthew that's come in. Let's quickly break into some of the news already. Fabrizio Romano already announcing that Marcos Alonso will be allowed to leave Chelsea this summer. Personal terms are agreed, close to being agreed with Barcelona. Talks have been underway for 1 month now. The point to be discussed is the fee. Barca have no plans to make an important bid as Alonso deal expires in 2023. And listen, if I'm Chelsea Football Club, Todd Bowley, Marina Graverskaya, you make sure that Marcos Alonso goes this season. We don't need him. We need to start looking forward. We need to start bringing in better players. But that's the key word, bringing in better players. Do we trust our board to do this? Do we trust our board to even potentially be able to do this as well? Which is something we're going to do. Couch is also here as well. Big up to Couch. Couch, how you doing?
One sec.
I think he's here.
1 sec.
Go on. I'm going to just crack on with this transfer and I'll come to you. Yeah, I'll come back to you in a bit. So, yes. So, guys, yeah. So, look, news on that is Marcos Alonso is looking like he's going to leave the football club. Good for us. Tells us we've got to target it in the summer. Who are we going to bring in? Talked around Cucurella. We saw that Kounde was in the house, in London. Yesterday, there was a couple of pictures of some Chelsea fans having pictures with Kounde. He said, and his words for Kounde himself was, he's trying to make his way to the football club. He's trying to make it work. He never said, yes, it's happening. He just is trying, which tells me it's happening. Why else would he be in London, guys? Why else would Jules Kounde be in London? The crown Jules is coming. A player that I've wanted for 3 years solid is coming to Chelsea Football Club very soon. Big up to Tobago. Hope you're well. Declared, nice to see you. Chelsea fan Seppers, this is good. We've got to be ruthless, is what he's saying there. Don't do this. Oh, there we go. This is what he's saying there. I think my whole computer glitched in. But to be honest, I can't get excited about transfer windows until we hire a DOF. A DOF is not going anywhere yet. We have to accept that. DOFs are going nowhere. at this moment in time, especially Marina Graviscaya. There's too much to be done, guys. We need her here. We need Todd Bowley to shake all the old ways out of her and get her to start having a good transfer window. That is what we're looking at next. Big up to CFC's time as well. Hope you're well. What is this doing? I feel like I'm crashing again, which is annoying me. So there you go. There's some news in and around that as well. Couch, are you here?
Yeah, man. You can hear me?
Yeah, I feel like I keep glitching. I don't know why. My computer's playing around.
No, it's fine. It's fine over here.
Cool. So the first bit of news before we go into the season review. Marcos Alonso looks like he's leaving. How do you feel about that, potentially?
I mean, no real surprise. I'm more concerned about who's coming in rather than who's leaving. Like,
it's important, though, Couch, isn't it? Making sure these guys go.
Absolutely. But I mean, I don't really. There's so many guys that I want to see go. I mean, like, so I have no real. I don't have any real connection to Marcos Alonso in terms of, like, obviously he's been a good steward for the team for the years that he's been here. Nobody expected to get the type of return that we did get from him the last 4 or 5 years. And yeah, like, I'm more about the future right now. I'm less about players that we've had that cannot play the style of football that we want to play right now.
I agree. And that brings me on to the next bit of news from Fabrizio Romano as well, which is him talking about the list of players Matt Law was talking about the list of players that could potentially come up. Apparently, we've drawn up about 8 different types of defenders to come over. One of them being Pau Torres, Jose Jimenez. I've also been tracked by Chelsea scouts for a number of years. Doesn't mean much to me because scouts watch many players. But the likes of Jules Kounde, as we already know, was here in London yesterday, is around. And also Mr. Josko Gavidal, the guy from Leipzig, which has been spoken about. That's it, yeah, Guardiola as well. And they're saying there's several players, Couch. How many defenders are you expecting Chelsea to bring in this season? 2, 3? What are you saying?
I think 2 is a minimum at this point. But it's probably the more realistic answer 2 because we still have players at the club, and we still have players to come back from loan. And the guys that you look at coming back from loan will probably not be challenging for big minutes for the season. So they'll probably be worked in and integrated into the football slowly. So that would be the perfect complement if you can bring in 2, first choice center backs, and then have a loanee come back and just to fill in the gaps where we need like squad rotation and whatnot. But the names that are being listed here, like aside from Kounde, those are just like Jimenez. We've been linked with him forever. Like these are not surprising names to me. Pau Torres, I don't think that he has the foot speed to play in the Premier League. He looked mad slow the last time I seen him play. So,
but some people want that big frame. They're like, "Oh, we need a big defender."
Yeah, I mean that is important, but like we also need somebody that is comfortable on the ball and can play a high line. Like I'm not quite sure that he's capable. Again, like I've only watched him a little bit, so I'm not really probably the best person to analyze his actual game. But from what I did see,
Koulibaly's another one as well, that's been spoken about. You could potentially get free and get Koulibaly, Kounde, and maybe one other, dependent on price, because you don't want to go and spunk all your money on the defense side of things. You want to look at the midfield. There's obviously Alonso's leaving, wing backs. What we're going to do there, forward line, Lukaku, Steve Werner going. There's so much to go on. I think we're going to have a lot to do. There's a lot to do. True, he is slow, is what Alex is saying as well. He agrees. A lot of people agreeing with you on that one. So there's that. Actually, Winter Surf has just come in as well. We'll add him in a second. So we are going to do that season rating in a second. But I'm just flying through some of these break-ins from Fabrizio Romano. Another one's just come in a couple minutes ago. Kounde has been at the top of Chelsea's list for months. He's considered a serious option, and the player would love a Premier League move. His release clause is around 80 million euros. Chelsea will push to sign Kounde, work on it since a long time. Plan hasn't changed. And the fact that he was cited yesterday in London tells me that he's already having them discussed. Why else would he be in London? Why else would he be in London walking around Oxford Street, So, you'd expect him to potentially be one of the first players through the door. 80 million euros. I thought it was 70 mil. Who knows what Chelsea will negotiate in between that. But Jules Kounde is a certain, right, guys? He must be a certain.
Yeah, it seems like that's the most likely defender to come in at this point. I still think that Koulibaly would be a good fit, that left-sided defender. But yeah, it's just going to be hard to say. I like Koulibaly. I like Kounde. I think Kounde can play a couple of different positions for us, which is also very important when you're considering spending upwards of 60, 70, 80 million pound for him. You need somebody that's versatile. He's showing that he can do that. And again, just with Chelsea wanting to potentially play different styles of football next year, potentially playing with a four at the back, potentially playing with the wing backs again. He's the kind of guy that can play in a number of different roles, and it's obviously valuable for that reason. But the only worry that I have right now is just the wage demands. Like, obviously, if he's going to be commanding 80 million euros in the for the release clause, his wage demands will have to match that on some way. Like, you can't bring in somebody for 80 million euros and then say, well, we're just going to give you 60 million pound, you know what I mean? Or 60K in wages, you know what I mean? So there's something to consider there as well.
Yeah, I hear you. Winter Surfer, Kounde, going to be one of the first, right?
Yeah, I think he will be the first. I think all it is, I think everything's been done, if I'm being honest with you. I think, in my opinion, I think they're just waiting for club to be sold, and then first bit of news will be they'll announce that. So it's a good signing. I understand what Couch is saying about the wages. Remember, we're not having to offer Rudiger the wages now, and Christian's probably gone, so he's probably going to get anywhere from 150 to 200, probably something like that.
Yeah.
Which will be that. But we're desperate, right? We need defenders. That's the problem. We're desperate.
100%.
So,
and that's why we look at several 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 defenders at the moment. Whoever we bring in, we're not too sure yet, but definitely something that we're going to have to wait and see on. The only other bit of news that two things I wanted to just talk on about is obviously Simon Phillips has come out commenting saying that Chelsea are now open to selling Hakim Ziyech. Talk soon with N'Golo Kante to discuss his contract situation. Jorginho's waiting too. I mean, is that a shock to you, really, that Hakim Ziyech is one of the first guys to be put up or potentially put up to be sold, really?
The issue is, I think we're able to probably sell him more than people's wish of selling Lukaku more. I think Ziyech and Werner are the two most likely and best options to sell this summer. I think they're the easiest to sell this summer. Others, there's just different context with others. Lukaku, the amount we want, we're trying to recruit for him, and the wages he's on. And then Pulisic, I'd be very surprised if a big American consortium wants to sell their poster boy. Do you know what I mean? Especially for the first year, maybe the year after, but I don't think they want to do that. And like I say, Cho's got injury issues and wages issues as well. So it's one of those. They're the two easier ones to probably sell and get out.
100%. Lorenzo's enjoying us as well. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. Cheers for having me. Hope you're well.
Good. Yeah, all good. I mean, it's gone a little bit crazy the last 5-10 minutes in and around Chelsea. Fabrizio Romano's come out and said that Alonso's looking like he's going. Hallelujah. But dependent on the fee with Barcelona. There's also talks around Hakim Ziyech potentially being open to be sold as well. Talks with N'Golo Kante and Jorginho was still to happen. What's your thoughts on the Hakim Ziyech side of things? Are you shocked out of all the forwards? He's one of the first potentially that Chelsea are open to sell.
I mean, I would prefer to sell Timo Werner, but I reckon Ziyech is probably second on my list, if I'm honest. Just because he's old. Not old, but he's the oldest of the lot. So the longer we keep him, and if he keeps not playing regularly at all, the more his value will decrease. So if we're not going to use him regularly anyway, you might as well cash in. But I would still prefer to sell Werner. And the one thing that Ziyech has over all the others is that he's the most different in terms of style of player from all the other forwards. We haven't so far really exploited that usefully at all. But if we would exploit it and make use of the ability that he does have, I think we could get a lot more out of him, more than some others. But if we're not going to change the system where that allows us to do so, then I guess you might as well sell him.
Yeah, 100%. Couch, quick one on this one. Are you surprised Hakim Ziyech is one of the first potentially to be going?
No, I think Lawrence pretty much covered it. It's basically just down to the fact that we're not playing a style of football that suits his strengths. And, like if we're going to move in the same direction where we're going to be playing with sort of like inside forwards as opposed to wingers, then, I mean, he doesn't really have a role at this club anymore. And he's not playing enough. He's not getting any younger. And he probably has ambitions himself to try and kick on and play somewhere else and, be productive, get in the lineup on a regular basis. So yeah, I'm not surprised if that is true, but at the same time, if we're moving him out, we better be bringing in some quality again, because I'm sick of all the attackers, to be honest.
Fair enough. We are going to start talking about them player ratings, which is what we're here to do, but it seems like there's lots are still coming in. We just had this comment come in as well from Fabrizio. Simon Phillips is quoting Fabrizio Romano saying that Jorginho in or out is something that will be discussed. Chelsea could look at new midfielders, which is what we're hoping will happen. They want to extend N'Golo Kante's contract, is what Fabrizio Romano is saying. So they've kind of pick and chose between Jorginho and Kante already, in my eyes, if that's true. Winter Surfer, again, does it really bother you either or have you got a preference out of the two?
Availability is the greatest commodity a footballer can have, and N'Golo Kante doesn't have that over the past 2 years. Also, I think I'm going to save my ratings for Kante later. What I thought of him this season, but extending the contract is fine. Paying him the same or more is not fine for me. He does not justify a pay rise of over 290 grand a week. It'd be wasted money. He's now 30. Approaching 31, or I might have got that wrong. He's 31, but he's playing less and less. He's playing less and less. And if an offer comes in, I'm more willing to sell Kante than Jorginho, even though I think we can still get better than Jorginho. Jorginho's more available, and Jorginho's played through pain this season as well. He might not have played well, but at least he's made himself available and should be given more respect in doing so from this fan base. You might not like the way he plays, but he's willing to put himself through the pain to play for this club. At the moment, the way it's unless there is a reduction in pay for that contract, I'd sell Kante this summer. I would sell him.
Lorenz,
because I still think you could get. You still got name value for me. You could still get enough for him.
Yeah, I hear that. I do hear that side of it. What about for you?
It's a really difficult one for me, because now, especially that it looks like we're not getting Tchouaméni because he's apparently deciding between Madrid and Liverpool. And I personally believe that Rice will be too expensive for what Chelsea will be willing to pay. I mean, maybe I have a little bit of hope that we can use Amanda Broja and kind of lessen the fee for Rice that way by giving him to West Ham or whatever. But my logic with that is we have way more players in the position that Kante plays and in the positions that Kante is good at compared to the positions where Jorginho plays and where Jorginho is good at. We just look at this season. When Jorginho couldn't play, we played Loftus-Cheek as the 6 instead, because neither Kante nor Kovacic can do it, right? I mean, Kovacic is probably closer to it, but then you limit him drastically, because what's Kova best at? Those driving runs. To be fair, same as Ruben, but still, I'm not saying Ruben is as good at it. I'm saying those is both their strengths. Yeah. And if they're playing as a 6, you limit them drastically, right? So that's why, in my opinion, I would prefer to keep Jorginho. Now, after what Tuchel said about how highly he rates Kante, I mean, since that moment, we all kind of need to accept anyway that Kante ain't going anywhere. But I completely agree with Winter Surfer to say, contract extension, hey, if that's what the manager wants, it's what the manager wants. We keep saying back the manager. So how are we going to sit here now and say, no, we cannot keep Kante? But I completely agree. Cannot be a pay rise. If I'm honest, it can't even be a contract on the same money. But then will he agree to a contract renewal if it's on less money? Who knows? That's the tough one. But yeah, I mean, if we sign a midfielder, I'll be more, and the right midfielder, I'll be more accepting of letting Jorginho go. But even then, say we sign Rice, right? Rice probably won't be able to play every game. To be fair, he's played pretty much every game for West Ham, so he's never injured and he doesn't really seem to need rest. And West Ham, because obviously they made it to the Europa League semis, they also had a season with a lot of games. It's not like they only play Premier League like Arsenal or whatever. So they had like a busy schedule, a busy season, and he was available pretty much every game. But if theoretically picked up an injury, then you'd be in the same situation that we were this season. Who is the sixth then, right?
Yeah.
And then if you don't have Jorginho, who plays that role? Is it Ruben again? Apparently, Billy Gilmore is going to Rangers, so it's not going to be Billy Gilmore. Are we going to keep Ampadu after a loan of getting relegated in Serie A? Even though he had an individually apparently good season. Can't pretend to have watched Venezia.
And for me, Gallagher can't play the double pivot either.
Exactly. Gallagher can't do it. Mount can't do it. Kovacic can't do it. Kante can't do it.
We need to sign 2 DMs.
Well, Tuchel's already said that he's probably looking, well, Tuchel's said that he's probably looking to keep this same formation. That's what he said. That he kind of, because he feels that certain players are good in this system, which tells me he's probably going to look to strengthen this free system. He's not going to look to adapt what people thought he was going to do.
He did also say, to be fair, sorry to interrupt you, bro.
Yeah.
He did also say he might be forced into changing it, which still says he doesn't want to, which I still think is a big red flag personally. But he at least might have to, because I don't want to see none of this back three anymore.
Yeah, but everything comes down to availability, right? Like, you can't necessarily say. First of all, the system works. Let's not forget that.
Does it?
It has produced the Champions League. It has produced how many cup finals since Tuchel's come in.
But is that because of the system or just because?
Well, yeah, it's working. The system is working. You know, like, we won the Champions League. We've been to every final pretty much since Tuchel's arrived. Like, yes, we've had injury problems that have hampered our season, but like, at the same time, we can't say that it's not working. And even still, like, if you look at it like this, if we go to the 4 at the back, right, and you play with Rice as a sitting 6, right, how does that change what we do going forward? Like, what does that open up? Because we're still going to be attacking with 7 and defending with 3, right? Because Rice isn't going to be involved much in the build-up, if I'm not mistaken, right? So what does it really change? Like, it's not really changing that much. Go ahead.
I think it does change drastically, because it puts the wingers, the ones that we have or ones that we potentially sign. I'm not sure if you've spoken about Sterling already before it came on, but it puts them in wide areas where they're actually good in. And it lets the central areas, which are currently occupied by the inside forwards, be attacked by the central eights, by the attacking eights.
But we could also do that with the wingbacks inverting, right? We were doing that a lot this year before Chilwell and Reece James got injured, right? And then we had the overlaps from the wingers, right? Like, that was just another adaptation to what we could do with the wide areas, right?
But in the back 4, you can allow the wingers to be wide without having the wingbacks high up the pitch and in central areas, so when you get hit on a counter-attack, you have no wide coverage.
Yeah, but I
and also we now won't have Rudiger, so we will automatically be not anywhere near as good at defending counter-attacks anyway.
You could be right there, but I would say that, like, if we want to play with a back 4, we're probably still going to push the wingbacks or the fullbacks forward anyways.
Oh yeah, you'd hope so.
Yeah. So then you're basically defending with 3 anyways, right? Because you're going to probably sit Rice in between the 2 central defenders.
Okay.
And then, so I don't know. I'm not quite sure that the system doesn't work, but I will say this though. I don't know. I have no answers for the midfield. I'm not going to lie to you guys. We have so many 8s and not enough 6s. And
can I ask you something? Would you say the system only works against big teams? Because I think I agree with you. It works when we play teams that are as good as us or better. But when we play lesser sides, look at our record at Stamford Bridge, man. I mean, like, we only won 9 home games. We can't break teams down to save our lives.
A lot of that is also not being clinical, right? Because a
lot of that is not being clinical and not being good in possession. As much as we have a lot of the ball, we're not good in possession. Like, let's be real.
Exactly. I was just weirdly speaking to Pice about this in a group chat we're in. And my explanation of that, again, I could be wrong. It's just my idea of it. But because of how we set up, right? Our striker is central, then our inside forwards are central, and then we have the 2 central midfielders behind them. Everything other than the wing backs in our team is central. So all the opposition needs to do is block the central areas, which is why our wingers are so poor, essentially, because they never have any space, because obviously the opposition see, okay, all of our attacking threat except wing backs are in central areas, so all they need to do is block that, And then none of our attackers have space, whether that's the strikers, whether that's the inside forwards, and even the centre mids don't have the space to attack more. You know what I mean? I mean, Jorginho is obviously out of that anyway. But even Kovacic, as good as he is, 2 goals and 5 assists or 6 assists or whatever, he can do so much more than that. And because we only ever use the central areas other than the wing backs, that's why our wing backs are our star players, because that's the only areas where we have space. So if we allow the system where we wouldn't only crowd the central areas, I think we would also find it much easier to break teams down because we wouldn't be so easy to stop.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
I hear that too.
I do want to really talk about this, but we need to talk about the player ratings as well. And
physical DM. That's why we need a physical DM.
We've been here for nearly half hour, and I knew this was going to happen, and I love the conversation, but we're not going to be able to get through this play.
I streamed for 2.5 hours yesterday, and we only did player ratings.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be 2 hours at this rate. But big up to Dan and Matty who have joined as well. How you doing, Dan? You all right?
Big up. I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Not bad, brother. Not bad, man. Not bad. Matty, all good?
Next question. I'm knackered, mate. I'm absolutely knackered. So, yeah. What's been happening? Anything good?
Not much. We're talking about all of the Fabrizio Romano comments before we started doing the ratings in regards to like Jorginho potentially staying or going, Kante, Chelsea wanting to give Kante an extension potentially is what Fabrizio Romano's saying.
Yeah.
I also saw a link to Sterling this morning. Apparently we're looking to bring in Raheem Sterling as one of the players. I ain't going to sit here and ask all of you your thoughts on that because, again, we'll be here for another 20 minutes saying why we don't want him and why we do want him. And yeah, this is not the full show's doing it. There's enough of us on here to get on with it. But I do want to start talking about the season that we've just been through. I know a lot of us don't want to talk about it because some people feel it was not a great season. Some others feel it wasn't a bad season. We could have done better, but still overall are happy with the overall, the overall season. So the way we're going to do this, guys, because if I sit there and ask you each and individually about your thoughts on a player, we are going to be here for about 4 hours. And lots of us are going to have disagreements. I know Matty, for example, is going to really dig in on Pulisic and someone's going to come against that. And anyway, I'm going to pick you a player and you're going to put them where you want to put them. Then after that, I will let the people that are here, the panel, 5-10 minutes, give their thoughts on that player, and then we move on. Yeah, that's how we're going to try and structure it. Otherwise, we're going to be here for about 4 hours talking about one player like Lukaku or Jorginho, which is not worth it. Big up to T1 for the donations. Just Amadou as a CDM with Mount and Gallagher as CM/CAM. Cam, that's the cheaper option. If we're not spending much, and hopefully we keep Carwell and Starr. He seems to be looking at the youth rather than Chelsea spending the money.
Christ almighty. Jesus.
It depends where. My answer to that one is, where do you expect Chelsea to be next season? Because if that's what you require from Chelsea, if they're not going to spend, then you've got to accept that we ain't winning things for at least a season or 2 or 3, at least with that.
I think you're also forgetting who our manager is, man. That's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So big up to you. Thanks for the donation, brother. We'll start with Lorenz, and we'll give you, bro. I'll give you an easy-ish one. Ben Chilwell.
Ooh. Put him in very good because obviously he didn't play that much, but when he did play, was very good, but probably injured too much to talk about GOAT season.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. I mean, again, it's not someone that we're going to be sitting here talking too much about. He didn't play much, but from what he played, I don't know how many games he played. He must have played a good 15 or 11 or something like that. Do we know how many games he
scored
played?
6 goals as well, right?
I need to have a look at it. Maybe I'll get transfer market.
I was looking at it yesterday. I think he might have played 21 games in total, but that is including off the bench in a couple of games.
I think he had 6 goals and 3 assists as well before the injury. So he was looking like he was going to have a very productive season. So, yeah.
I think he only had 3 goals actually, but
was it 3 goals? I might have got the other way round. Sorry.
It mixes up with last season, isn't it? It's been injured so long.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it was nice to see.
I'm trying to. Yeah, I mean, does anyone really want to say much on Chilwell? There's not much to say, is there? Really, he's had good seasons. Fair. I think when he was in the team, we actually looked like we were top of the league, weren't we?
Yeah.
To be honest,
it's
at one
balance.
point with 7 points with him in the team, and then he got injured and we lost him, and then went downhill.
I think
Would
the
say
biggest
that.
thing that Chilwell brings is balance. It's just balance. Like, you know, like you put him on the left and you have Reece James on the right, and you have, you know, balance on both sides. You can attack down both flanks rather effortlessly. But, you know, yeah, I think he had a very good season. But again, it's too short to really give him a, you know, a proper evaluation.
So only played 13 games, actually.
Yeah,
He only played 13 games.
has he? I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking on transfer market.
Oh yeah, 13 games. Yeah, I'm just looking.
3 goals, 1 assist he got. So.
Yeah, he had 1 assist. Did he
Yeah,
have 1
but he only
assist?
played-
I'm sure he was on
he
a
only
run where he scored like 3 or 4 goals.
What it says on transfer market, 13 games, 3 goals, 1 assist. Because remember he had that all about the Euros thing, came back late. Remember Alonso started the season.
Yeah.
Did you remember that?
Yeah.
And then all that. So, yeah, I think his injury further exposed how this squad has been assembled horribly.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Lorenzo just sent me the stats for all of them actually, so that's perfect. So it's given us 13 games, 3 goals, 1 assist. He's played around 841 minutes this season, which is diddly squat. Actually, yeah, he's probably got the least minutes other than Marcus Butt and Ellie in our team at the moment, which makes sense.
There's a couple like, you know, Saul and who else? Barkley, and there's a couple that played less, but not a lot.
Yeah. Right, Winter Surfer. Let's move on. Let's give you. Oh, do I go in heavy? I'm going to give you Christensen. Krusty the Clown. Go.
I'm going below average. I don't think he's been shocking, myself, but he's not as good as he was last season. He had some good performances, but overall, I believe he's been below average. This now thing where he's pulling out of games as well. I know it's happened previously, but it's more this season. That's happened a lot. So yeah, for me, it's below average, and you know that's a shame. He's going to be probably remembered for this season, leaving and the way he's played this season than his other good performances in previous seasons. So below average for me.
He's had 34 games in total for Chelsea. Obviously 2 goals, which you don't look at, 1 assist. He's only played, he's played 2,500 minutes. Does anyone disagree with Winter Surfer? Do you feel he should be lower? Do you feel he should be higher? Or do you think that's about right?
Well, he's going to be sold anyway, so it's average, isn't it? So I think it's below average, really, because that's my opinion, really.
I think I'm clouded in judgment just with the fact that, like, in big games this season, the guys have been pulling out. So, you know, that to me is a signal for a below average season. If you can't play in the big matches when you're being called upon, then can't have you.
Availability.
You know, I might even take it a bit further. Even though he's leaving, it's just shocking. Not much so, but he was shocking this year. I feel like this has been his worst year. When he's played, and actually, you know, the few games he's played decently in some of them. He's played well in some of them. I would say the Liverpool game, he was really good. But you pulling out of games when you're in the warm-up, you know what I mean? He had his medical right before the Real Madrid games. Things like that, it's like, you not being there is more detrimental for us than, you know, you not playing or playing well. Because we had to play Chalobah even when he was injured. We had to play Aspie in all those games, and we see how Aspie is just not on the level. So for me, that was terrible.
But we don't know why he pulled out of those. Like, I think it's harsh to hold that against him. Like, if it's we don't hold it against Kante, because otherwise we need to put Kante in shocking as well if we're gonna have a go at players for missing it.
No, this guy. Let's get it right.
Kante misses games. Well, Kante is available even when he's injured. If he's missing, it's because he's not fit at all. We don't even hear the reasons why he's not fit.
Exactly. So we can't hold it against him.
Why? But here's the thing, though. Any player can have things going on. You know what I'm saying? And any player can choose not to be there based on that. The problem with Christensen is he's done it a lot. And it's like, you know, you deserve leeway. Like everyone does. We all deserve leeway, but not that much.
Let's be serious, though. With Christensen, there was one point where he actually arrived in the tunnel and was ready to start or was going to start, and all of a sudden just disappeared. I didn't even see him even on the bench. And then when we asked Thomas Tuchel, what was this? It was a thing of he was feeling a little bit unwell. Maurizio Sarri said back when he had him that Christensen's got a habit of feeling a little bit nervous before games. That tells me that he has not the right mentality to be at this football club, in my opinion. I think below average is probably about right. And annoying because he can be very important. He would have been very important, especially in the finals, you know. Yep. So it is what it is, but we move. Couch, let's give you... Do you know what? It's some of these that don't even deserve ratings, like Ross Barkley. Like, what is it?
Don't give me Ross Barkley, okay? Do not give me Ross Barkley, especially after you just banged the goal.
Do you know what I mean? I'll give you a tricky one, but this will probably annoy a lot of the Chohos. Callum Hudson-Odoi.
I mean, below average. Like, what can you really say? He hasn't really impacted the season in the way that, you could say anything above that, like, it's sad. Like, I actually think that he has potential, and, he's been hindered by that Achilles injury. He's not been able to play, the amount of minutes that you'd like to see him play. But even when he has played, he hasn't really even played in his preferred role. He's been playing at wing back, he's been playing all over the place. And, I just want to see him go on loan and get the opportunity to really define his football somewhere else. Because in this system right now, I feel like Tuchel does not trust him to be one of the three enough to use him regularly there. And he's just not getting enough football in his preferred role. So send him on loan, give him the opportunity to find his football. But as of right now, the season that I saw, fits and starts. He had a good spell in that sort of like November-ish period where he was playing like as an attacker. And then after that, he's kind of fallen off. And I think that with most of the young players that we have right now, it's always going to be about consistency. If you can't bring consistency to your game, then, you're going to be struggling to find minutes in this game.
Well, you said something very key there. Consistency, right? And the one thing that drives me mad with Callum Hudson-Odoi, especially in the past, was we don't give him enough chances. Manager leaves him on the bench and brings him off the bench. He gives him a couple of minutes, 20 minutes or so. Like he deserves these chances. Well, he had 28 games this season in all competitions for Chelsea. And you've got to remember at one point we lost Lukaku, we lost Werner. It was him, Havertz, and Mount that were mainly, and Ziyech that were the main four up there mixing around. Yeah. He scored 3 goals and assisted 6 out of the 28 games at Chelsea level. That's the big question mark.
Yeah, like I said though, that was probably his purple patch of form when those guys were out. I actually thought he was playing pretty well that time. And for the majority of the season, again, he hasn't really been playing his preferred role. He's been playing as a wing back, and it's a tough position to play, like it's very demanding physically. You're up and down the pitch all the time. And, it's not a forgiving position. If you're caught out, you're getting exposed immediately. So you always have to have your head on a swivel. You're always thinking about not being the most effective attacker. You're worried about and this goes back to Tuchel, because I feel like Tuchel, as much as he is a brilliant manager, I still think he's a pragmatic manager, a guy that wants us to be very safe first before we, go gung-ho and attack. So for our wingbacks, as much as you want them to be pushing forward and, taking guys on, I'm sure that the instruction is to be very cognizant of what's happening behind you. Very cognizant of that. So with that said, Cho's not really a defender, and we want him to be a defender. So I don't know. Yeah. I still say it's below average, but for reasons beyond just his footballing ability.
Does anyone disagree with that? Is what I would ask. If anyone does, then please speak.
Yes. Because again, but maybe that's just me. I think and I disagree on Christensen as well. I think they've both been average. If there was a good part, I think even Christensen should be in that. If I'm honest, the whole pulling out of games, I agree with that. But until we know for sure why that is, I don't think we can hold it against them. Because people have their reasons for pulling out. I'm sure he would prefer not to pull out the second, the morning of games. I mean, he's a professional footballer. He made it to here. So clearly he likes playing football, right? So, and Callum, when he's played, has he been below average? I don't think so. I think it's average, but Up to you,
mate. My support of Cho, I will never understand. He had that run of about 8 games when he was starting in the middle of the season, and then he was just dropped by Tuchel, and I've never really understood why that was, because I feel Cho is a player that needs a run of games to get into form, start and rise, and I don't think he reacts well to being a sub and in and out of games. So whatever, respect Kante's decision there below average. I can understand that. I think when we do these ratings, you have to put into what you expected them as well at the start of the season to what they've actually produced. But that's never been explained by why he was dropped. Cho's got his injury issues now as well, and he's been has he been out for like 3 months now? Is it 3 months he's been out for or something like that?
He's been out for a while, wasn't he? Yeah.
I mean, Chilwell's got back faster than him. For Christ's sake.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Okay. Fair enough. Let's move. Dan, let's give you, bro. Let's go with. I know the ones that you don't like. I don't want to give you. I'll save it. It's a little bit early in the show. I'll give you Pulisic.
You give the American Pulisic. Why?
There was no meaning behind it. I just said it.
If he gave it to Matty, he would be here for 48.
All right. Sorry. No. Actually, let me take. No. Not Pulisic. Let me take that back. I'll say Pulisic. Actually.
Not because they're gonna say I'm biased in the comments, so I don't want to.
Let's get rid of the easy ones, shall we say, and then we'll go into the tricky ones. So let's give you Saul Niguez.
Oh gosh.
Listen. He is. What words can I use? Listen, shocking, must sell. I'm glad he's leaving. Let me just leave it at that. It's probably one of the most useless loans we've ever done in our history.
Did you have a good spell?
You said what?
Do you not feel he had a good spell at one point for us when he was?
He's better than Falcao.
What? No. What do you mean good? What? He had a couple
better than Falcao.
Wait. How many games has he played? Let's take some context.
I think Jem might have frozen.
Was Jem frozen?
I think Jem might have frozen. I'm not sure what he was going to ask, if I'm honest.
I think he was looking at how many minutes Sal's played, but don't forget about us.
It was a good freeze. It was a good freeze because nobody really needs to be going to that. Oh, there he is.
My internet's playing up, man. Today it's one of them days. It's typical, isn't it? Can you hear me?
Yeah. We can hear you.
Cool. Yeah, no, he's played 23 games, I think it was. 23 games. But how many of them did he start? Yeah. We did start.
I'm pretty sure he didn't start much of those. A lot of those came in the Carabao Cup. And we've played 63 games this year. So that's 40 games he hasn't played without being injured.
How many did he start? How many did he come on? Probably about 20. I'd say about 15 of them he come off the pitch.
Probably. So, out of 60-something games, you start 5? Yeah, that's a shocking season. We can just leave it at that. We had to use several different players in midfield when he was supposed to be the one to take over that role and help us through it. The December period, Loftus-Cheek played everywhere. He played center mid. He played it. I'm not sure if he played the 8 formation during that time. He played as a center back in one game. Like, he was being used everywhere while Saul was basically on the bench, not necessarily helping. And for a senior player on 200K, that's terrible. Shocking.
Okay. There's not much more to say then, is there? I'm not going to ask you guys because it seems
there's
like
no obligation to buy.
There's no comment. There's no comments. All right. Matty, let's give you Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
Below average.
Really?
Is that a bad one?
I might disagree.
I disagree with that.
I think that's a little harsh myself.
Yeah, I think what?
Why below average? Why?
What were your expectations of him at the start of the season?
I wouldn't expect him to take over the way he did, but I mean, to be fair to him, he did. But I just think that some of the performances were below average of what sort of player that we should have, that we could have got in the transfer window beforehand. But I I don't think that's bad on him, shall I say? I mean, I will defend that. I will defend that it's below average. But when we're putting him somebody in a place like he has done, it's a bit harsh on him really, because he's having to fulfill the role that we're pushing him into doing. So I'd say that I'll lift him to average. I'll lift him to average, but that's just me.
I think he's been asked to play in roles that he shouldn't have played in, like right wing back. So I know you guys are all thinking, oh, he played well in it. I don't think he's made for that position. I don't think he's made for the 6th position, even though he's asked to play in a 6 under Tuchel. I think his best position is an 8. But how does he get into the team playing as an 8, which was the issue? So I just feel we used him as like a stopgap because we needed to give either because there was injuries or there was certain players that needed rest. So we just called Ruben in. But it was clear for me and obvious that even when he was in the 6th role, his positional sense and awareness is just not there, like of a 6, So for us to sit here and say he done average, I'm not too sure. But then I don't blame him because he's being asked to play in positions that I know he's not meant to be playing. So
true.
How do you look at this?
Yeah, you have to evaluate it based on how he is used, like utilized. Like he's an number 8. You know what's funny to me? I actually thought that he could have deputized for Mason Mount when we played the 1-2 up top, like in that sort of like number 10ish role. Like I think that's probably where he's best suited, to be honest. Like, but it's hard to say though because, man, his work rate is just not quite there. Like. He can't give you 90 minutes of just pressing and energy. He can probably give you about 60, 65 minutes of that. And then, it falls off quite considerably. But I still think that like below average is harsh just because I feel like there have been games where he's been phenomenal, especially in the first half of the season where, I think it was him and Kovacic that were paired in the midfield together. And he was just like dribbling past guys. Like he's probably our best midfield dribbler as far as I'm concerned. Like strong on the ball. Very, very hard to knock off it. But when you play him in those deeper positions, he tries to use that ability in situations where he probably shouldn't. And, you get caught out. But overall, I don't think that he's had a bad season. I want to see some more goals from him, but I think he's capable of it. But, yeah, I'd say average for myself.
Okay, anyone else? Anything else to say on that one?
Yeah, same. I'll just give him credit for being there, and trying because he's not a 4 or a 6. He's not a center back. He's not a right wing back, and he played all those roles without, I think, to his best. Sometimes he failed. I just think he doesn't fit into what we're trying to do or what Tuchel is trying to do. But I'm not gonna put that on him because when I've seen him play, he's tried. You know what I mean? And he's had a couple of good games.
Yeah, I mean. I didn't expect anything of him because I didn't expect him to play much. So I got to factor that in. And what you said before, he's played multiple positions. And sometimes he's played well. I mean, I remember him playing a couple of games at right wing back. He played well. Played well in the second half of the away leg against Real Madrid, in my opinion. So I think it's like a high average to even maybe a low,
there's a good category missing.
Yeah.
So am I moving?
Good.
Very good.
Yeah.
No, it's not very good, but
it's not very good. It's like a low good. It's like a low good, or an okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Average / okay, all right.
A thumbs up.
Good. What's that on here?
I reckon. Did anyone have a GOAT season? I feel like you might just change that to very good and just make good the second one.
There is one player that's had a GOAT season.
Maybe. I mean, I think. But I'm not sure if everyone here in the panel today is aware, but I'm a big fan of Ruben. But I think people forget a little bit at the start of the season. Every time he played was the best player until like December time. Obviously, he played less then than he did later in the season because that's when Kovacic, Jorginho, and Kante kept getting injured. I mean, he was better at right wing back than Aspi is, and Aspi is actually a right back. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, even I'm like, there should have been a bit more towards the end of the season, but I think it's easy to forget how good he was at the start of the season. So, but everyone said average anyway, and I would agree with that in this.
All right, so the first player in average is Ruben Loftus-Cheek. We move on from him, and we now move on to Lorenz, pick someone for me. Go on, I'll let you pick someone for me.
pick someone for you. Let's make it fun. Do you know what I mean? Change it up. Why don't we throw a goalie in there? Go with Mendy. Why don't we? I reckon Mendy, and people have already been cooking me for that yesterday on my stream. I think Mendy goes, well, when we did ratings out of 10 yesterday, I gave him 7.
No, hold on. He's saying pick for Gem, so Gem can rate him.
Pick for me.
I'll pick for you. I'm sorry. Yeah, go with Mendy.
Mendy. Yeah, Mendy. See, this is the thing, right? Again, I do feel a lot of people have short-term memory loss when it comes to Mendy. Like, he was... We could argue that he lost us the Champions League, people can say, due to the mistake he made against Benzema. Fair enough, I get that. He did also have a couple of moments in games around that period where he could have probably made saves if he was confident. But at the same time, when you look at Mendy's overall season, when you think about, I'd say August all the way up to about, even when he came back from AFCON, for that first bit period, he was fine. So maybe from March onwards is probably where his decline started, or late March onwards is where he started declining. I would say overall he was very good. And people forget that he was traveling around the world, winning cups there, came to the CWC for us, won there with us as well, made countless numbers of saves that accumulated us points earlier in the season as well. Some of the saves, I remember the Aston Villa home game where in the first half we got absolutely slapped and we could have been 2-3-0 behind, all because Mendy kept us in the game. Brentford away as well is another good example. There's a number of games where he's actually accumulated us with a lot of points. For me personally, I think Mendy has had what I would say, I would have put him in very good, but because of what happened with the Champions League, I am going to probably stick him in between average. Which is horrible for me to do because I wanted to put him in very good, and I still really want to put him in very good, but I don't know.
Put him at least ahead of Ruben. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I mean, he's better than Ruben, isn't he? Does he deserve to be with
Chilwell? Even if you want to keep him in average, like in front of him type thing, I think you can do that. If you just push it.
It's just better. It's just better. Yeah. All right, we can do that. If he's been better than that person, we just put him in front of him. Yeah. All right. Okay, cool. Anyone want to say anything on Mendy?
No, I think you got it spot on, to be honest, mate.
Yeah.
I think he goes into what we discussed about Ruben before. Like there should be a category between average and very good. He goes in that, but if we're doing it here, it's fine. Listen, last year for me, he had a goated season. Has he fallen off a bit this season? Yes, he has fallen off a bit, just like the rest of the squad has fallen off a bit, and he's made mistakes. So yeah. Average is fine. I'm not going to fight it.
So it's not as bad as what Matt says. You would probably put him as Marcel.
Matt would have Kepa in goated season, wouldn't he? So
I will say this, and I think that this is probably where the difference is right now. Is the defense in front of him has declined immensely from last year to this year, and there's a time last year where we weren't surrendering any high danger opportunities, and then we just ask Mendy to make 1 or 2 saves a game. Now it seems like every game there's like at least 3 or 4 high danger opportunities where he's being called upon, and it's just not. We're not solid enough defensively. We're just not.
Should I just change this to Player of the Year?
Go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just do average, good, and then obviously the one player that we feel has been the Player of the Year out of all of them, and then move Mendy to good. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah, move Mendy to good. Yeah, move Mendy to good.
Average, below average. That looks a bit better, doesn't it? Some people were asking for good. That's why. So I said, okay.
You guys still think Christensen deserves to be an average and below average?
He should be sold. I should be shocking myself personally. That's how I feel about it.
You can think he should be sold, but does that mean he played that badly whenever he played? Because that's what I don't think.
Well, he did have some stinkers. I think at the Champions League away game when it was him, Sarr, and whatever.
There's been a couple, but he played 34 games.
There was another one.
Do you know what,
Lawrence, you make a good point, man. I would have said average. Now that I listen.
You know what, Lawrence? Because of last season progressed. It's what I said before. It's what I expected of him this season, and for me, I think he's fallen below average. If I'm being honest, like that. That's why I want to say to imagine what it's like when Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Like I think average because I didn't expect a lot of him this season. So he's actually proven. He's actually proven to be more efficient this season. So. It's just one of those, I suppose. But like I said, We can change it, can't we? People have got a chance to change
Oh,
it.
here we go. Mendy average. Here it is. Here. I thought you were going to say you think worse, mate. I thought you were going to put him in poo, but we move anyway. Let's move on.
Opinions, Matt.
Let's move on. Lorenz, I'm going to give you a very, say easy one again. I'll give you an easy one. No, yeah, actually, kind of easy. Chalobah
goes into good. Good. I think he's had a good season. Obviously, he's had a couple of games where it wasn't perfect, but especially if you apply what Winter Surfer just said in terms of what we expected before the season. I mean, before the start of the season, we didn't even think he would be in the squad. And had we signed Kounde, he probably wouldn't have been in the squad. And considering that, I think he's gone leaps and bounds. If I'm honest, it's been very impressive. Like him a lot. Can shoot as well. Even in the Leicester game. I mean, when everyone else was having a stink, he was like, "I've had enough of this," and just went for a shot, and it was a good shot. I mean, so yeah, like him a lot. Good is fair. I would even put him ahead of. I'd probably even put him ahead of Chilwell just because he played so much.
Yeah, I agree.
We did score 4 goals, Lorenz, as well, which is more than every defender than Rudiger, who got 5, which is not bad. Not bad for his first season. I know some people there's a couple of people that are like saying, "Oh, he can't play. He's made mistakes. He doesn't."
First season.
I know.
Yeah. Reece James made mistakes in his first season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Everyone does. Everyone does.
I think we over-exaggerate when it comes to Chalobah. Does anyone disagree with Chalobah being in good?
Not at all.
No?
No, I don't. I think he's had a very good season, actually. From a young from a youth team prospect, and it's his first season in the first team squad. I think he's done very well.
As a centre
back, he's played in some big matches for us, some big matches, and played actually well. Like you can argue the Juventus game, he was close to man of the match, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, or one of those Champions League games, he was very, very good. So yeah.
You see that comment by Velbastran? That just I'd expect that from this fan base. It's like it's his first full season in top flight football. Of course, he's going to make mistakes and everything like that. That's where a manager comes in and manages him better, brings him in and takes him out. But he's had to step up a lot more because of injuries and because of the Christensen issue. He's probably played more than he should have done, if I'm being honest with you. And for me, there was a drop off. But remember, he was in for Player of the Month in March, I believe, up there, wasn't he? And then he's not played a lot since. So he's had a good season for me. So.
Is average and good the same word? Am I getting that mixed up?
No. You'd rather be told you're good than average.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure, because some people say, no, put very good above good. And I'm like, no, I can't. Come on, guys. Come on. Listen, you can do something for me, though. Smash the like button. We ain't got enough likes. I know we haven't got enough likes. I haven't even looked at it. We've only got not even 50 likes yet. There's over 160 of you here. Come on. Get them likes up, guys, if you can. Let's get this up to 100 easily. Let's move on to Winter Surfer. Winter Surfer, I am going to give you... who we got here? I'm going to give you Azpilicueta.
Right. Let me remove sentiment out of my mind. Let me remove that he's a legend out of my mind. It's going to be between the bottom two, that's for sure. I'm going to put shocking. Because I think he's had a near, not the same, a near type drop off as Ivanovic from 15-16. I believe he's lost what he was so good at one-on-one defending. He was so good at. Even playing at right centre back, there's been issues this season. He's not played that well like he did last season. And you know what? He's mid-30s. He's 32 now, and it's probably been his worst season playing-wise at the club. It's probably going to be his last season, maybe. Although I heard reports that Tuchel's trying to get him to stay. But I think shocking, and I think for him, he's earned the right to leave. So I don't want to really berate him anymore. I just want to leave him alone. I don't like tearing into Aspi, man. That's all. So
yeah, it's a hard conversation to have. I do feel that Aspi should leave. There's talks about him having talks with Chelsea. Tuchel apparently maybe wanting to keep him. Is what we heard yesterday. I don't know about that personally. I do think we need to look to improve. Do you guys? Do you feel that that's slightly harsh for him, being shocking, or do you feel below average is probably a bit better?
I think below average is fine. He scored one of top 5 goals of the season with that back heel. I know it was Plymouth, but still, someone needed to score it. We might have lost. Do you know what I mean? Great goal. No one can say anything different. But yeah, the problem was more Reece being injured all the time, which meant Aspi had to play wing back all the time, where he's shocking. Yeah. If he played right centre back more regularly, I don't think he would have been. I agree. Yeah, viewed as that badly, and that's not Aspi's fault. That's the board's fault for trying to sign Hakimi and then failing at it, and that being the reason why Livramento left. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Then none of that issue would have ever arose. So,
I feel guilty. I feel guilty putting him in shocking. I've got to be honest with you.
It's not nice, is it? It's not nice.
I feel guilty. Move on.
Let's move on. Let's move on from that. Couch, I'm going to give you. I ain't going to give. Can I just put Ross Barkley in shocking because he just needs to go.
Go on. Yeah.
What about Kepa?
There should be a category that does not even qualify. Like it's like we don't use these guys. You know, what I mean? Like Ross Barkley doesn't even play.
Can we rate leave the ones you don't want to rate in the bottom if you want?
Yeah. Can we rate Kepa?
Yeah,
you can.
I'm not getting Kepa. Don't give me Kepa. I'm not taking Kepa.
You can rate Kepa. He's played more.
All right. I'll save Kepa. I'll save Kepa with someone that likes being harsh, and he's below you anyway, so we'll give him that one. I'll give you Malang Sarr.
Oh, wow.
Remember expectations, Couch. Remember expectations, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Wow.
Is he been good?
I don't even like it's below average, but it's not because come on, dog. It's because of his performances. It's not because I had any expectations for him. It's just like I had low expectations, but he hasn't really met them either. Like this guy has been shocking, man. So I'm gonna say below average based on the fact that he played in roles that he is familiar with and still was unable to deliver. There have been a couple of performances in the cup games where he was okay, but I mean, this is not Chelsea standard, man. Let's just be honest, guys. He's not Chelsea standard. So yeah, I'm going to say below average, to be fair. He hasn't really been given a ton of opportunities. He has played a few times at fullback, even though he was basically not pressed forward. He's playing fullback and he's not necessarily natural there. Yeah, below average. There's not much you can say on this guy.
We are getting to the fun side of it. As you can see, there's a lot of players that I'm sure we're going to be having a lot of discussions on as a panel in a bit. Does everyone agree with below average for Malang Sarr? Is he just shocking? Marcel?
Nah, he has to go into shocking. Come on now. Like
I don't know why.
If Aspi is in shocking, and we're not putting Malang Sarr in shocking, that's
Can you do me a favor? Can we make a trade? Can we put Aspi in below average and Sarr in shocking? Can we just do that?
But again, it goes. Okay, hold on. Winter Server, you said to me before I even went into reviewing him, remember the expectations. Yeah, what were your expectations at the beginning of the season for Malang Sarr?
The thing is, I had no expectations, so I would have immediately gone average. But then after seeing him play,
yeah, that's exactly why I put him in below average.
That below average or shocking. I really wish there was a bin category for some of these players, but I don't. Someone needs to tell me why we signed him in the first place and who scouted him to say that he'd be.
He's on 120K a week, by the way.
Jesus.
120K a week for this guy, man. Like that's just
not good enough. That's just again the board's lack of negotiated again, isn't it?
We're going to rate the board. We put shocking.
Yeah, we'll rate the board at the end, and we'll rate Tuchel at the end as well. But I'm just reading something here saying that Chelsea are monitoring Soyuncu from Leicester. He's just changed his agent on a move. So that's from Simon Jones at the Mouse Sport as well, which is not something I want to read. And I'm Turkish. I don't want to see Soyuncu at Chelsea. He's not Chelsea level. Let's not do this. Anyway, we'll back to this. Let's not get sidetracked by what we're going to be seeing a lot of when it comes to the summer window. Look, I think he has to be moved to shocking.
Yeah, he has to be shocking. I'm sorry. Yeah, I just feel like I didn't really have high expectations for this dude anyways, and he was below that. So But anyways, yeah, you're right. Shocking's fine with me. I don't care. Like, I don't really even want to review guys that like barely play. So, it's like,
Couch is pissed you gave him Sarr, man. He wanted a juicy player.
real talk, man. Trust me.
Well, watch this one, Dan. I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you Alonso. I'm going to give you Alonso.
Below average.
Really?
Average. Or average. Below
Really?
average. Yeah.
What?
Actually, I'll go average. And here's why. We know who Alonso is.
Yep.
We always know who Alonso is.
Yep.
Right? There was no expectation of him to start as many games as he did. And he does what he does. He scores some big goals, has some clutch moments, and has some terrible games. But yeah, this is an Alonso season. You know what I mean? An average season where he does some great stuff for us in terms of being clutch, and then he completely breaks down our play for the rest of the season. So yeah, he is who he is, and yeah, average.
Dan, I keep saying, you've heard me say this. If you expect better of Alonso, that's on you. That's what I keep saying to people.
46 games. 46 games for Marcos Alonso in all competitions, 5 goals and 6 assists, and he's played 3,625 minutes in total.
There's no doubt in a brief period of this season, I think at the business end, he was playing very well. There is games where he's played very well this season. There's games where he's not played very well this season. So I think that evens it out as average. Right?
I would put him below average personally, but I mean, average, below average. I mean, Pies is saying Alonso is average, but also shocking. Must sell. It's between.
Alonso quite literally is the definition of shocking. Must sell. Do you know what I mean?
46
Not
games
in season. Like I say, I agree that the season wasn't quite that bad, but
yeah, but in
as a
terms
player,
of, he is still shocking.
No, he needs to go, but he's going.
He needs to go. Yeah. He needs to go. Yeah, he needs to go.
Go to Barca, man. Have fun.
Yeah. Is there anything else to say on him? I don't think there is. I mean, is anyone?
I'm exhausted.
I think average is nice. I think below average.
Yeah, it's average. He's asked to play more than he was expected to.
I'm not wasting any more time on this guy.
Yeah,
I'm just done.
We'll probably give him a new 3-year contract, and he'll be our backup at left wing back for Ben Chilwell again. No, bald. But anyway, we move. Let's move from that. Another story for another day. Matty, I am going to give you Reece James.
Ooh.
Oh, that's easy.
Can I say good?
Okay, so he's not your player of the year. You're going for good. Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Because I think he's been brilliant. He's one of the 1-2 youth players that we brought in a few seasons ago that have actually shown that our academy is actually as good as it is. I agreed with my one mate the other day. If we had 11 Reece Jameses, we'd do really well. So, and he is really good. He's a really good player. So, Josh, go back to Europa League football, will you? And leave us alone. You're sliding down the table like Michael Jackson used to. Look, So I think Reece James, to be fair, is an ace player. I really do. I think he's, yeah. I agree with Pies, actually. Very good player of the year tier. There's a mixture of the two.
There's only one player that can go in the player of the year tier. We can't have like 2 or 3.
No, that's not. Well,
that's cool. That's cool.
There's no one person that is played at a level that is like way above everybody else's.
Yeah, we have. We've got one.
Don't say Thiago Silva, okay? I know where you're going with this already, all right? I already know where you're going with this. All right?
Don't worry, I'm going to answer that one. Don't worry, we're saving it.
All right.
Reece James, why are you here if you're an Arsenal fan, Josh? Why? Why are you here trying to slag off our players, bro, when you couldn't even
go back to worshipping Tierney, who did nothing all this year, Joker.
Do you know what I mean? All right. Nothing else to say, guys, on James? Good? Are we good with good?
He's player of the year for me.
I'm just sad.
The games that he played, he's been our best player this season. He was just injured too much to actually be player of the year. But when he was fit, by far the best player.
He'd have a shot. He'd have a shot if he was fully fit at possibly breaking the assist record this season. Even with our forwards. Because how many assists did he get?
How have you done that?
So I don't know. I just press the button and it's pictures at the bottom. It looks a bit better, doesn't it?
That's better,
everyone can see, and I can bring up the comments now, which is fine. All right, cool. So in terms of Reece James's appearances, 42 appearances, 39 appearances in all competitions, 6 goals, and he's got 10 assists, double digits assists for Reece James this season, as a wing back. So can you imagine if he was fit, like what Lorenz said throughout the season? I would probably agree that if he was consistent, like he was playing how he was before he picked up that injury, which he wouldn't have got if we didn't play so many games in December and have so many COVID and injury issues where we were forced him to play in central midfield and then forced him to play left back and play every 2 to 3 days, which is what officially writ him off eventually. We would have had a player of the year there.
I think he
Well,
would have
he's
got
that good in the England squad.
I think he would have got at least 10 goals this season.
And let's not forget that this guy not only played wing back but also played right center back and was incredible there as well. Shut down the whole entire right flank against Real Madrid. It was going up against
the injuries cost him, man, and cost us.
It didn't cost me. I think that guy's our player of the year, to be honest. Like there's no rival there. He's played right up that right flank and not played a foot wrong for most of the game, most of the season. You can't say that about anybody else for me.
Oh yeah, the England squad's in 3 minutes. I don't even care. I don't even care about it. I really do not. I'm not really. We'll bring it up at the end if you want to see it, guys, but not really. Just guys, do what Chelsea fan says though. Hit the like button. Let's do that. Subscribe if you're new as well. If James was fit, he'd be our best player of the year and youth player for the league. And youth player for the league is what Lee Bell's saying. All right, let's move away from Reece James. Who did I give Reece James to? Who did I give? Matty, wasn't it? Did I give it to Matty?
Now Lorenz.
Lorenz. Well, Winter Surfer, pick someone for me. Go on. Who are we going for?
I'm going to give you Jorginho.
Why would you do that? Why? I was saving Jorginho for someone else. All right. Okay, cool.
No, you get him, Jem. You love him. You're going to get him. Yeah.
I hate talking about Jorginho because the thing with Jorginho is I just don't feel he's a consistent player that will allow us to win titles and be in your team for 38 games. I feel he's a player that should be utilised dependent on the game and the team that you're up against rather than someone that plays every game, if that makes sense. Like he wouldn't be in my first 11 is what I am saying. I know people like Con. Sorry if you're watching, mate. Yeah, I know I actually love him. But overall, when I look at his season, he was heavily forced into playing on covering for Kante and Kovacic with that injury. And yes, it wasn't in any real great level, but he still done a job and he still was very important to have in there. I do think he does need to leave in the summer, but providing we bring in a DM as backup to whoever we bring in, if that makes sense. Because what you don't want to do is get rid of him, bring someone else in, but then be back into the position of not having any backup. And I think we need squad depth. He could be good squad depth in the long run. So, I mean, in terms of this season, I think he's had an okay season. He has had some really stinky games where I'm just like, get off the pitch, you're slowing the game down, you're doing everything that we know that you end up doing, which we don't want you to do. And at the same time, he's had some decent games where he's came on and, he's moved the ball quicker, looked forward and whatever else. So for me, it's either average or below average. But I'm probably going to say due to everything that's happened to this point and him having to play with injuries and whatever, I'll probably stick him in average. I don't know if you agree or disagree. I'm stuck between average and below average. I don't know what you're saying.
To me, it's between average and good, but I think you're not. Like, average is fair.
Dan, what do you feel about this one, mate?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Average. Average is fair. I don't think he's had a... He's one of those players who is who he is. He's not a DM. So, he did what he had to do. He played through injury. And I always credit that. So, average is good. I can go with average.
Average. All right, cool. Fair enough. Right. We are left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. Well, 11 players by the looks of it. And we're back to Lorenz, which means I have to give him an interesting one. I mean, they're all interesting now, to be fair. So I will probably give you I'm going to give you someone I know you don't like, and you know who that is because there's no point. I know where you're going to put him. So I'm going to make this a little bit tricky. N'Golo Kante.
All right. Yeah, below average. Yeah, it's as simple as that. It was only available for 40% of games, so that's shocking in and of itself. And then when he did play, how many good games can you think of Kante? Probably less than a handful. Do you know what I mean? And when you think of it that way, you can't exactly say that he's been either average or higher. And especially if Tuchel thinks he's that good, if he's supposedly that good and he played like that this season, you could even argue lower than below average. But, I'll stick with below average.
He's played 2 less games than Mateo Kovacic, who's played 46
Well, look at the
games.
minutes, though. He has quite a few less minutes.
And, Jorginho's played 58 games. But in terms of minutes, 2,713 for him. Kovacic was 2,901. Jorginho was 3,005. We actually asked Jorginho out of all our midfielders to play due to minutes. When you look at N'Golo Kante, I'm not going to look at goals and assists. I mean, it says 2 and a 5 for him. He's actually got 5 assists to his name. He's got 1 less than Mateo Kovacic, who we were raving about this season for his creating and assisting. He's actually created 5 goals, apparently, N'Golo Kante, which is very weird. How? I don't know. How has he assisted 5 goals? I can't even remember one. But yeah, does everyone agree with below average? I don't know. I mean, average is below average?
I can't give that guy below average. Like when he's on his game, he's without doubt one of the great players in the game. You know what I mean? And yes, he's been injured a lot, but he can't be below average. Like,
all right,
he's still N'Golo Kante. You know what I mean? Like,
you are suffering from what I do, Aspi. You're suffering from sentiment here. You're not looking at how he played.
Do you honestly think he had a below average season?
Yes,
like,
I do.
Below average. So he's on the same trajectory as Cho. And
if I isolate Kante,
I think he's been worse than Cho.
This is his worst season. This is his worst season. This is his worst season at Chelsea by far since he's joined us. And
yeah, without doubt, his worst season, but that doesn't make him below average though. Like he's still
he's been below average.
So then because he's like usually GOAT status, now that he's now below average.
How many games has he cost us this? How many games has he cost us this season?
You can say that about a lot of guys.
No, but N'Golo Kante, you wouldn't consider.
We gave Jorginho average, and Jorginho cost us points probably just as many.
No,
Kante cost us the Champions League semi-final, mate.
Yeah, Jorginho's been better than Kante this season. Jorginho's been better than Kante this season.
I can't say that.
I don't know. I'm fucked with that one.
I can't say that.
What? Guys,
I
think this is an issue in the Chelsea fan community that there's a problem when you bring up N'Golo Kante and any negativity and anything about it.
No, I agree with you. He's had a poor season, but I can't say it's below average. Is what I'm saying.
Kante and the standards that he set and the standards we expect from N'Golo Kante, giving off these fantastic Champions League run last year.
Yeah,
this season he has been below average.
Can I just say something about Kante? When he has had his good seasons, which have been of many, he's not even average. He's always been either at the top of the trajectory or where we're finding him now, where people are saying he's at below. So what is there no average with N'Golo Kante? It's either that he always has to be an 8 out of 10, because that's how we know Kante. He has to be that difference maker. He has to be that player. Or
how many games of 8 out of 10 did you think he had this season? Like, surely it can't be more than 5.
No, not many. But at the same time, what is an average game for N'Golo Kante? Because he doesn't have them. Do you get what I'm saying? It's usually he's just very good. Very
good. I agree with you. But if it's only 5 8 out of 10s, that means all the other ones were below average. If you say there's no average from him,
I can't have him on.
There should be average though.
Hey, it's Lawrence's pick. He put him below average.
That's fine.
So,
that's fine.
All right.
What you're saying? Do you agree, Dan, Matty? Do you think he's below average, Kante?
I'd say for what he's done previously and the amount of what the quality of player we have here, I'd say this is his worst season. That's my opinion. I think this is his worst season. I agree with Winter Surfer.
Just so we know, he led the team in tackles like per minute, per game, right? He led the team
personally, I think Jorginho and Kante have been as bad as each other, to be quite honest with you.
I would
and they
agree
can't
with
play,
that.
and they can't play together. I would have them if it was me, it would be Kante, but it would be Kovacic. So because Jorginho and Kante cannot work together whatsoever. But that's my opinion.
What about you, Dan?
Average. I think average is kind of what he's given us in this season. His decline, I mean, apart from the Champions League run last season, we've kind of seen a lesser Kante than we've seen in most years because the injuries have been catching up to him. So I wouldn't say like in comparison to his best ever season. Of course, this is terrible, but in comparison what we've seen since I would say 2019, this has been an average season for him.
Yeah. I'm saying average myself, but you already know that.
I would put average. I know Winter Server's put below. I know Lorenz put below. It was Lorenz's choice. We'll keep it at that as well. And we'll move on because we've got a couple more to crack on with as well. And Winter Surfer, it's blimmin' pissing it where I am at the moment. Blimmin' out. Bad. Yeah. Really, really bad. I'm going to give you Kovacic.
Good. He started on fire with assists and that at the start of the season. That's sort of fallen off, but you can see how vital he's been to this team. He's the best midfielder we have in the squad by a long distance. And if it weren't for the injuries, he would be up there for me for Player of the Year. And slightly fallen off a bit, but good. There's no question he's had a good season.
I think everyone agrees with that, didn't you? Is there no one that disagrees with that? Is it a Player of the Year shout for him, or is it again the same thing as Reece James, just the injury crisis that stops him from getting that? Yeah. Okay, cool. Fair enough. An easy one. That was the quickest one so far. But now it's going to get more interesting because we're now getting to the forward line, which we've hardly not started on yet as well.
Oh, gosh.
Someone has to take Kepa. That's the thing. Someone has to take Kepa.
I'll do it.
NA. How many games has he played?
Kepa has played 15 games, with one fact. No, we can't rate him. We can't, can we? Surely.
Why not?
I reckon he can. He won us the title against Villarreal.
That's loads more for that number.
All right, so tell me then. Where do you want him? Go on, tell me. Just quick, anyone.
Average.
The games he played, it was good. Didn't play a lot, but it depends on how you see it. Do you rate it less when he didn't play a lot, or do you only rate what he played? If you only rate what he played, I think it was good. I don't think he was bad in any game other than the pen he missed against Liverpool.
He conceded us the penalty shootout in the final against Liverpool when he was brought on to save us in that game, but he didn't. But overall, did he have good games when Mendy was out? Yes, he did. But did he have much to do in them games? Probably not. When I think, actually, no, I can't say that. Because some of them were Liverpool, weren't they? And Man City as well. Sure.
Against Spurs, 2 clean sheets against Spurs. It's always a dub.
Yeah, average. And Matt, he's not Player of the Year. Get that out of your head. I just thought that just now. He won us our 2 trophies. Did he?
Oh, he didn't play in the final.
No, he didn't play in the final. Yeah, he didn't play, yeah.
So why are you lying, Matt? Your agenda stinks, bro.
Good Lord, Matt.
But he did really well in the semi-final to get us to the final, to be fair to him.
He did. Listen,
yeah.
I don't care, average or good. He's not below average or shocking or anything. And listen, I think he's played well so much so that I hope we sell him.
Yeah, I hear that.
I agree. I agree with that one as well. Can we do Werner now? Is what Haley's saying. As you've said that, couch Timo Werner.
Oh, Daniel.
Shocking.
Daniel.
Shocking. Must sell. Shocking. Must sell. Shocking. Must sell. I don't know what else to say. Like if I really need to quantify that, like I can, but like really,
He's played 37 games, 11 goals, and 6 assists.
Yeah.
How many in the league? How many goals?
Well, forget that. We're doing all comps at the moment. Okay. So 11 goals in all comps and 6.
Yeah, he scored 4 in the league, if you're asking.
That's 23 goals over 2 years, right?
37 games. He's played. It's only Callum Hudson-Odoi that's played less than him as a forward line.
Yeah. And I'm still saying shocking, and the reason
rightly so.
We bought him to score goals. We bought him to score goals. When he gets in positions to score goals, he's fluffing his lines or making poor decisions. So I'm not. He's one of the few guys that that I have no problem with seeing leave. Absolutely no problem. I think he's technically poor. I think that he doesn't offer what we need in that final third. And if he's gone, we'll be a better team because of it.
Couch, would you agree that it's very rare that when you don't expect much of a player and they perform worse than what you even expected of them, just proves how shit they are. And this is
well said. Well said.
Best definition of Timo Werner I've ever heard.
I don't criticize Werner. I don't expect anything from him. But when he does this, he's shit. Yeah, he is one of the worst signings in this club's history. Okay,
he is right up there, man.
Right
up there.
The sooner he goes, the sooner myself and Dan.
All right, stop the abuse. I've had enough. I don't want to hear it anymore. Like, I've had enough. All right.
Poor Jeb.
Timo Werner's Secret Service, mate. You're stuffed on this one, bruv. You need to change your agenda, mate. Listen, I've even said the same thing. He needs to go. He needs to be sold. He don't fit our system. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Unfortunately, Timo Werner. It does not work at Chelsea. Clutch, you said something earlier in the chat. You said that Pulisic's played less minutes than him by 7 minutes. Can I just by 7 minutes?
He played the same minutes. Let's Pulisic plan for you. He played less minutes, 7 minutes less.
Clutch is David. David and Matty, who's here at the moment, had a big argument, a Pulisic debate argument on Twitter. So just so that you guys know, you both, are here. We will save Pulisic for a bit later, actually, because now Clutch is here as well. We'll make it interesting. But let's move on from.
Pulisic. I know we haven't.
No, we haven't. Pulisic is there. Don't worry. I'm saving Pulisic. I'm saving the best for last, as they say. Who's next? I've lost it. Is it
Daniel?
It's Daniel. All right. Yeah. Daniel. Mr. Daniel, I am going to give you. I ain't giving you your favourite player. I'm not doing that one. I'll give someone else's thoughts in that one. I'm going to give you Antonio Rudiger.
He's been good. Yeah. I mean, 200K, man. Salute to him, man. You guys know my thoughts on 200K, man. And
but how do you think he's played, man? No, he's wasted us.
Not like 200K. I'll tell you that.
You're so petty, man. You're so
200K. But, he's been good. He's had a good season. He's had a good season. Not a player of the year season, not a world-class season, but it's been good.
Okay, I mean, he's not player of the year, though, no? He played most games this season as well?
No.
Most minutes out of anyone, yeah.
No.
Has he played more minutes than Pulisic?
Well, he's played. He's played. If you want to know how many minutes Antonio Rudiger's played this year, he's played 5,016 minutes, which is a lot of minutes. 54 games, 5 goals, and 4 assists. 12. He got 12 yellow cards to his name, more than any other player in our squad.
He's never been sent off for Chelsea.
But he's never been sent off, exactly. Yeah, so there we go. Everyone agrees we're good. There's not much more to say. Rudiger is well in.
He's really only won one player in Player of the Year, then yeah. But I think
if we're doing
second or third in the whole Player of the Year
he's
thing.
In top three, yes. He's in top 3 discussion for Player of the Year. But if we're doing by James' rule,
he had like 2-3 games where he was not that good, like Madrid home game and Brentford. Other than that, he was good to incredible in every single game he's played. And you just told us he played 54 games. So, like, do you know what I mean?
That's most of them, isn't it? He's only missed a handful, or even a fingerful, should we say?
And all those he missed were like the cup games, against Chesterfield and Plymouth. And do you know what I mean?
And let's face it, since December, he's had to compensate for that ass on the left wing back, Alonso. So he's basically had 2 positions he's had to cover for most of that season. So if we're going by Jen's rule, then he doesn't get Player of the Year. So,
All right, well, guys, let me just bring that to your attention. Player of the Year is only one individual. Hence why you're not seeing anyone in Player of the Year yet. You can after we've done this, play around with the players. I'll give you guys the option. If you put Super Chats in, obviously Super Chats is money. It moves it into the positions that you require them to as well. But that's at the end. So make sure that you wait to the end before doing so. I'm going to go to Matty. Matty, I am going to give you... do I do it now or not? Do I do it now? I'm going to give you Christian Pulisic.
Shocking must sell.
Why?
Because he's absolutely shocking and he needs to go. Honestly, that shot against Leicester, it was hard to miss it than it was to score it. And it was in the same distance that he scored against West Ham. He's injury prone. He's been here for 3 seasons. He had a very average... Hold on, what? What was that?
He hasn't been injured since October, so can't say it's
Well,
too easy.
let me, before you continue, mate, let me give you some stats so you can obviously what you're saying as well. So Christian Pulisic played 38 games this season. He has 8 goals in all comps and he has 5 assists in all comps. He's played 2,207 minutes.
Am I supposed to applaud that? Am I supposed to, am I supposed to walk the donkey round the field or something to say well done? We're saying Timo Werner to go, right? He's been here 2 seasons, right? Pulisic has been here for 3. What's he achieved?
The first
more than Werner.
Well, hold on, right? Can I just say one important thing, right? For all these Pulisic fans in the chat, right? Liverpool and Man City, right? Does he get in their starting 11?
No.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
We can say that for all.
Listen.
Neither does anyone else in our team, basically.
Yeah.
So,
listen, we put RLC at average because he was playing in positions that he wasn't used to the whole season.
Right.
The December period when everyone was injured, it was Pulisic and Mount up there, playing center forward, false 9. He's not even close to being a false 9. And he played that the entire time. It was 8 games. He did that, right? When he's played left wing, he scored goals. He's had some shocking games, just like all of them. They've all had shocking games. So for me, he's been average. He's not like his play hasn't been as bad as, come on, someone like Werner. Werner's been terrible. And
but for that fault, but you saw a bit of
he's been playing in his position. Like
Werner has 11 goals. Let's be serious here.
He has
Werner has 11 goals. He has 8, sorry. He has 8 and Werner
How
has
many in
11.
the Premier League?
Well, it doesn't matter. This is all comps. What does it
No,
matter?
it does matter. It does matter. It does matter.
You're scoring against
the
Plymouth.
competition.
Why are we making
It's the most important competition.
How many minutes does he change?
Most important competition. He wasn't there for all those games because why wasn't he playing false 9 then? And we had Pulisic playing. Why wasn't Werner playing all those games?
Listen, Timo Werner was out on the left some games, which is not his position. We was forcing him to play.
That is position. That is
Timo Werner doesn't have a position, mate.
Well, no, Timo's position is where we played Kai Havertz and Mount, where he was leading the line and pressing from the front. That's Timo Werner's position.
I think we're all waiting for that the first lockdown Pulisic to come back.
We're shit right now, aren't we? Pulisic's not being.
That's what I'm saying. I think he suffers from that, and that's his own issues. I think to say shocking is harsh, but it's Matt's decision. I would say I expected more because of he had a sort of pre-season, came back health. I was expecting more, and maybe I would put below average if I'm being fair and say average, but it's Matty's decision. People want to move it, they move it. So.
It's a Poundland Eden Hazard. Let's move on.
Oh,
let's move on. Let's move on.
The problem is, Jem, you gave it to Matty. You knew he was going to do this.
yeah, he knew I came with fire.
So, I mean, I'd rather have a Poundland Hazard than a Poundland Steve Sidwell.
Look, hold on. Oh, look, he will go to Crystal Palace, somewhere like that, and he'll be like the Wilfred Zaha of that club, right? I have a sneaky suspicion he will do well when he leaves. They all do. Mo Salah was a classic example of that, right? And I have every faith that he will do well when he leaves. But when we're challenging for trophies, we cannot have mediocre talent. And I'm sorry, but he is mediocre. He's done nothing since he's really come here. We've had to, even Tuchel doesn't back it. This is the same guy as well that argued with Frank Lampard about starts, and now he's doing the same to Tuchel, right? This is the guy that apparently he enjoyed playing with. His dad is doing cryptic ass messages over Twitter. Let the crybaby go. Let the crybaby go. I don't care. Let him go. The numbers.
I don't even think you're wrong in saying that he might not be good enough for us to win the Premier League. But the thing where that's a bit silly is that applies for pretty much our entire squad.
That's exactly what I was
totally agree with that.
Exactly that.
I totally agree with you. But when we've had number 10s, right? When you think about the number 10s we've had beforehand that we've had to rely on, Joe Cole, Juan Mata, Eden Hazard, William for a season. These are players that we've had to rely on for Eden Hazard, especially with Sarri. Could you imagine Pulisic with Sarri? No, he wouldn't last 5 minutes.
You can't blame him for the number he's got. You can't make him worse.
I know, like the number doesn't make him.
Well, you can.
The number means nothing.
You still can.
You shouldn't. It's a number on the shirt.
Well, everybody else puts Drogba tax on number 11, and then look what happens. So
I've never
Who's
heard
got
that.
8 these days? Kovacic, doesn't he? Yeah, well.
Let's move from
Barkley had the 8. You know what I mean? Like, we gave up on numbers a long time ago.
Let's move to Willie at this. You know what I mean? That's what Pies laughing as well. Look, let's move on from Pulisic. He is currently in shocking Marcel. There is some Pulisic fans in the chat as well. You're going to have that, guys. You're going to have that. That's all I'm going to say. Right. So it's me, isn't it? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. I'll let you guys have it because there's 5 of you. I'll make 6. So I won't break. So I'll go back to
very noble of you, Jim.
I'll go back to Lorenz on this one, and I'm going to give him.
Here we go.
Should I give him?
Come on. Look at it.
Is there anyone you prefer to have right now?
Well, if you want me to do some cooking, give me Lukaku. But if you just, want some nice chat about someone, give me somebody else. I don't care.
Romelu Lukaku.
Give me Lukaku.
All right. Well, in terms of money spent, the worst signing in history of this football club. So kind of shocking must sell. But also, he's been so bad and devalued himself so much that we can't sell him because no one will pay us more than a tenner for it. Do you know what I mean? So that's why he needs to stay and can't be in must sell because no one will buy him. So that's why I'm putting him below average. Somehow, he still ended up as highest goal scorer in all competitions. No one knows how that happened. He probably doesn't know how that happened. And the reason why I'm so triggered at him either is the wrong word. The reason why I'm so triggered at him is because at the start of the season, we were so gassed with him. Like, maybe not everyone, but the majority of us were like, yeah, this is the missing piece. This is what we needed. Then he played against Arsenal, battered them basically all by himself, even if he already missed a sitter in that game, and maybe we should have, judged from that what was going to come. But we was all so happy, and then he played well for a couple of weeks, and then it started to tail off already. Like, people think it was only bad after the injury. No. He was also bad before the injury. Remember Juve away?
Yes.
Absolutely shocking. And then obviously the interview ruined everything. The interview is part of the reason why our season crumbled as much as it did. Some people might not like to believe that, but it's quite literally fact. But then he came back and fixed himself a little bit for a whole 2 games. Played in a cup final, was dreadful again. So it's just rough because we spend so much money on the guy. But you're like, we need him to work just because we spend that much money on him. But he just really hasn't. So give him a second season and we hope.
Wait a sec. Are you saying below average? Am I getting this right? Or are you saying shocking? You're saying below average?
I think I'm saying below. Well,
there we go.
Because this shocking also includes must sell, and I don't think we can. I'm going to put him below average because he still had a good spell at the start of the season, which is why, as a whole, I'm not going to put him in shocking.
Well, look, shocking must sell goes for me with Lukaku. Shocking because he has been shocking this season, even though he's got 14 goals. Yeah, I can't even remember one of them goals being an important, great goal other than the CWC semi-final. I think it was where he scored that header from
Imagine if he would have scored, if they would have given him the cup, the Carabao Cup goal, which he rightly scored.
Oh yeah, well, that might have been one I remember. But must sell is something. Look, I don't think we're going to do. I think the only way he goes is if he forces himself to leave. I don't think we will be going right. We're selling you. This is why he may stay. Personally, for me, I think he's been shocking. I think some of the things that I've seen, the heat maps that we've gone over, the touches, 14, 15.
Yeah, mate, put him in shocking. You know what? He holds the record for least amount of touches of any outfield player in history of Premier League.
Wow.
Below average with N'Golo Kante. I can't have.
Put him in shocking. Go on, put him in shocking, mate.
You know, Pulisic there, Werner's there. He has been as bad for me. I don't know. Anyone disagree with that?
Okay, so let's just say this right now, okay? As we look at these names right now, we look at these categories. We finished third. We've been to almost every single cup final bar the Champions League this year.
Mate, stop talking about we've been to finals. We lost the finals.
Yeah,
We're Chelsea Football Club. We're not Arsenal. I don't give a shit about making
it doesn't matter. I'm looking at it from the perspective where you're saying everyone's had a shocking season. It's not a shocking season when you look at that. Like, I agree with you. I want to win too.
That's not a shocking season for him.
Bro, you have. I'm just saying. Look at the amount of names we have in shocking. And we finished third this year. You know, like it's.
Yeah, but there's like Harvey Vale.
The half of them is just not ranked.
Okay.
Or whatever it is.
All right. Fair enough. Okay, I'm just pointing that out.
Is that what you're saying?
Sorry?
You're saying Lukaku shouldn't be there?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there's a lot of people in shocking right now.
That's how bad this squad is.
Yeah.
This season.
Well, I know Dan's going to want to say something. Dan, Lukaku.
You know what? Below average. We'll give it below average. Why? I think it just doesn't suit us. That's most of it. And most of, I can understand like people wanting him in shocking and must sell, but that's mainly based on his interview.
Yep.
Otherwise he just hasn't suited the way that we play. It's not like he suits it and he's just choosing to play bad. It just doesn't suit it. He can't press. You know what I mean? He's very stationary. He needs balls over the top or through balls to his feet. And we don't really play like that. So I understand because he's been clinical for the most part. He's been clinical. Yeah, for the chances that he's had. You know what I mean? Like he hasn't had a lot of chances at all.
That ain't true. He missed a sitter against Real Madrid at home that I was at as well, which could have brought us back probably near enough, not level, but at 3-2, which was an absolute shocker. At Juventus, where you had
every striker misses though.
At Juventus, against Juventus, he was in front a goal away and he absolutely skied it. And when you expect him to put it in the back of the net, this is a guy that's been telling us that he's Lewandowski and Benzema levels, by the way.
Even Benzema against us missed some sitters.
But he don't miss them chances, mate. I don't think they missed them chances.
He missed them against us.
Lukaku hit the post from 2 yards out and someone scored. I remember that game as well. Like he has had chances created. This myth of him not being creative.
He hasn't got a lot of chances.
But he doesn't make anything for himself anyway. He doesn't make anything.
Jem, I'll just say this, and I agree with you for the most part. Like he's not really finishing the opportunities we're creating for him, but we don't create a lot of opportunities. A lot of the problem with this season is the fact that our possession game is shocking. If we can rank our possession game, it's shocking. We have so much of possession and we create so little opportunities to score goals. We have to be so clinical with the opportunities that we have. And that's part of the problem for me. It's not Lukaku. Lukaku's not good enough for me. He's not good enough. I agree. Like there's things that the way we play that do not suit his style of play. But to be honest with you, we do not create enough opportunities. Let's just be honest here. Who's creating opportunities? Who's creating them?
Even if we created them,
you could say that. You could say that, but we have to create them before we can actually say that.
Couch, one second. I know Lorenz has got to go. Lorenz, thank you for coming on as always. I do want to ask you one question before you leave. Who was your player of the year out of what's left? Because I'm assuming it's one of these guys.
I tweeted this a couple of weeks ago as well, or when Chelsea put out like vote everyone. I was like, I don't think anyone really deserves it, if I'm honest. I said it already earlier. If he was fit longer, Reece James. For the numbers, Mason Mount, because 29 goal contributions is impressive no matter what you think. But also Rudiger and Thiago Silva, where I can't really decide, because if I don't give Thiago Silva his age benefit, I think Rudiger's been better. But it's more impressive what Thiago Silva's done because he's 37. So for me, I know you just want one, but I would put Mount, Rudiger, and Thiago Silva, all three in that, because I think those are the three and no one else. But if you force me to pick one, I'd pick... I don't know. What's been our biggest problem? Scoring goals. The only one that has scored goals and being involved in assists is Mount, so I'm going to pick Mount. But it's Thiago Silva, Rudiger, and Mount for me, all three.
No worries. Thank you for coming on as always. Make sure you check out Lorenz on his channel. It's literally his name as well, guys. Big up to you, mate, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Appreciate you guys.
Big up.
Yeah, man.
Take care, bro. Take care. It's first in everything. Waffle, if you don't think Minerals is in the chat. Anyway, yeah, look, I don't want to sit too much on the card because we've got a couple of guys left to do, but I agree with the whole I get the whole creating thing. I just feel that even if we did create, he probably wouldn't find himself in them positions because he needs it to be. For me, I feel like he needs to be spoon-fed all the time. Like he won't make that run that Havertz did against Watford. Do you know what I mean? Where he just runs off the defender and in that position and taps it in. Like I don't see him doing shit like that. It literally has a plan to him.
I still, I think Daniel said it. I still think most of his fan base and probably are still influenced by the interview he gave. They still have that in their mind. If you hadn't given that, we'd probably be okay with. Well, not okay, but as we're rating him as below average. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think still that still clouds people's, and rightly so, still clouds people's view of him.
Yeah, well, this is going to be interesting because we are going to Havertz next. Declare says, I can't wait for Lukaku's interview to the Chelsea fans from his next club next season. Big up to Declare. Thank you for that. Big up to him. Big up to him.
Lord.
So who was it? Who got Lukaku? That was, it's Winter Surfer. So Winter Surfer, I am going to give you Kai Havertz.
Average.
Okay.
I expected more of Kai this year since how he finished last year and the Euros performances. I think he's very protected in this fan base, more so than someone who does do a lot more, and that's Mount. He's had a lot of games where he's been on a lot of runs and he's not scored. I know he had a good sort of late March, April, but for me, even on Sunday against Watford, he still lacks that killer instinct. He still lacks that finish, and even that tapping, he looked like he was stretching for that tapping. For me, what I expected and what I think he should have done, for me, it's an average season. And I'm now over this, he's better second half of the season. For me, he has to start from day one if he's going to be in the team. And he's only 22, 23. Well, Mount's only 22, 23, and he's improved on his goals and his stats season upon season. So, for me, he's average for what I expected of him. I expected him to be in running for one of the Player of the Year awards, whether it's young player or overall player. And I've sort of been let down by him. So, for me,
well,
average.
Havertz in terms of stats numbers has, when I find him, wherever he is, where are you? Havertz?
8 goals in the league, he's average.
He's had 47 games, 14 goals in all competitions, and 6 assists in 3,200 minutes.
Wow,
is where he sits at the moment.
You know what's kind of weird for me? It's not so much the goal contributions, the fact that we would probably all agree that he's not an out number 9. He's probably just in behind, right? Maybe a number 10 would be his best role. And for that position, he doesn't create enough opportunities for other players.
Yeah,
he doesn't. I've never seen him actually use his vision to play somebody in and get somebody an opportunity to score goals.
No.
Am I wrong in saying that? I don't remember that.
No, you're not wrong.
I thought he was better at that last season, to be honest with you. This season, he's regressed in that for me.
I don't think you're going to see that when you're playing a false 9, though.
No, but last season,
but even still, your mentality still. Even if he's playing false 9, I agree that you're fashioning the moves for him to score. But his mentality as a number 10 should come to the fore more often than it has. His ability to play guys in when he play the
but again, Couch, that falls on having forwards that make runs behind, which we do not have.
Can I just address people in the chat?
Think about it, and I'm not sticking up for him. I'm not trying to make it like I'm sticking up for him, but we're talking about him doing these key passes.
You're doing it again, Jim. You're doing it again.
But then again, name me forwards that are directing a team that run behind defenders. Because they don't for me. They like to go too deep.
The thing we get with Kai Havertz and why I brought up, and just to address people in the chat, I'm talking negatively about him because I expect more of him. Okay, so that's why I gave him average, right? But I'm sick of this, and he is one of the most protected people in the fan base because he scored that Champions League goal, fine. But when I hear the excuses, we're more fluid with him in the team, which hasn't been shown recently that we are, and he's silky, like that's an excuse. Like Couch said, I don't see him helping others in the game. Do you know what I mean? I don't see him doing that a lot anymore. I see him that Everton away game still winds me up about him in that performance. He did not think about the team in that game whatsoever. It was all about getting even with Yerry Mina. It was all about knocking him over. That was one of the most selfish performances I've ever seen in a Chelsea shirt. And he needs to get out of his own arse and get his head out of his arse and think about being more of a team player if he's a false 9, right? Not a number 9. So
I'm just saying.
I expect more. I expected more this season.
I think he's more of a team player than Lukaku, personally. But that's.
Let's get away from comparing him to Lukaku.
But we have to. He plays in that position.
We don't have to bring Lukaku into it. We can focus on Kai's game without bringing Lukaku into it. That's what we do.
I feel that we still do better with Kai on the pitch than we do with Lukaku. But that's my feel.
I don't think that's not been a lot this season. He had a long run when Lukaku was out injured early in the season, where he barely scored, and cost us misses against Burnley when we drew 1-1. And he had a good March, early April thing, and that's it this season. He's not had a good season. He's been
I agree with the consistency. I think he needs to be more consistent in front of goal. I do agree with that. I think he needs to be more clinical, 100%. I don't think he's got as much time now. I agree with you again. He's on by the time. I do think he'll stay, and I do think that if he's going to be in this team, he needs to be more clinical. But at the same time, I still feel with this whole forward line, they're all chalk and cheese. I think finding the right chemistry with the right players to complement each other, maybe you'll see a better Kai Havertz. Maybe you won't. I don't know. But I do feel a lot of part of the problems is that they're all so inconsistent. So you're just not getting the best of any of them up front.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think he benefits some more clinical.
He would be still for me.
He benefits. He's like, you know what he's like? The closest I can think of the Premier League, he's a bit like, he looks like a cross between Firmino and a Berbatov in the terms of how he goes about. And I think he'd benefit more if we get free scoring inside forwards, whoever they are. That's where you might see the best of him, because then it's not all on him to score all those goals. But he should be better. His finishing needs to improve, definitely. His finishing does.
No, I agree. His finishing does. But we'll move away from Kai. We'll move away from Kai because we've got 3 more left. I want to get to them quickly. We'll go to Couch. Am I still here? I think I'm cutting out again.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
No, you're good.
Am I here now?
Yep.
Yeah. Couch. Sorry, mate. My internet's playing up now. I'll give you Thiago Silva.
Good season. Very, very good season. Wasn't my player of the year. I would say my player of the year would have been Reece James, but just based on the fact that he hasn't played a lot of games, I can understand why you guys haven't selected him. But I think Thiago Silva had a very, very good season. Excellent season at that, but just not my player of the year. There have been lapses. It's not like he's played faultlessly the entire way. Like he's made some mistakes. And we were rightfully punished, but overall, I have nothing but good things to say about Thiago Silva. He's easily given us a lot of good minutes, and worthy of another year, another couple of years, possibly even.
So, what did you say? Sorry, very good. Did you say? Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah.
For me personally, it'd be my player of the year. That don't surprise you. Obviously, I was going to pick him. I just feel that when you look at the consistency of his performances throughout the season, I would say he's probably, even in our worst games, you could probably say that he's probably been the only one that can hold his head up high in his performances in his position. Even when we've lost games, I still think he's been good. He has had some bad games, don't get me wrong. There's been games where you look at him and you go, oh, he was at fault, maybe 1 or 2 with his man marking in the box. But overall, for his age and what he's done and how he's been, for me, he should have got player of the year for Chelsea. Mason Mount's outputs are very good. I just don't think his overall performance throughout the year, levels of performances, were as good. I
would agree with you. I don't to be honest with you, I don't think that there's been any real standout player of the year. Like, you could probably make the argument for about 3 or 4 players just based on the fact that they've all been on the same level. You could make the argument that Thiago Silva is certainly the player of the year, just based on what he's been able to do for us.
performances.
Yeah, all of that. But I mean, for me, my player of the season, the reason why I couldn't give it to Thiago Silva, just based on the names that are left here, is because my player of the season was actually Reece James. So, I don't want to be the one, like you gave me Thiago Silva, and like pretty much everybody in the chat's like, Thiago Silva, player of the year. And I'm like, yeah, he was very, very good. My player of the year was not Lukaku, was Reece James. It's just that simple.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
So,
fair enough. Anyone disagree with Thiago Silva? Anyone think he could be less, should be higher, or very good, okay for you guys?
I don't like giving defenders player of the year at Chelsea. It doesn't seem right. So, I know he's played very well, but that's my bias. At Chelsea, we should be giving attacking forward players player of the year. But
so Mason gets it.
He's been sensational. For me, Mount gets it because of the numbers. And he's had listen, whereas some of his performances have been a bit below average from last year, he's starting to marry them up a bit more. He just needs to be more consistent. But for me, Thiago Silva is in the discussion. I'm not dismissing him. He's in the discussion. Yeah. But
yeah. Dan, would you say quickly on Thiago Silva?
I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. I think he's played a lot more than he's had to, and his poor performances has come when he's played a lot more than he's had to. There was a time when he played 5 or 6 games in a row, and that coincided with error after error after error. So, I can understand why. That's why, I never sat on it when he was having those poor moments in those poor games. Was because at the end of the day, he's 38. Or he's going on 38. You know what I mean? So he can't play. He shouldn't play 6 games in a row or anything like that. So
he shouldn't play after coming back from Brazil less than 48 hours later than play against Brentford.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was for me, that's again, why did he have to do that? Because Christensen wasn't there. But so
it's true.
Yeah, hold that, Lewis.
So if kind of like the Golden Boot winner, I think for Chelsea there should have been a shared player of the year, and I would have shared it with Mason Mount. Because
split it 5 ways.
I'll just split it 2 ways, 2 ways only. But yeah, it was good.
Fair enough. Yeah,
half a trophy each. I would have liked to see that.
Matty, what do you say about Silva quickly before we move on?
I think he's a world-class player. He's still got some skill. His age is surprising, but then again, if you look at Cristiano Ronaldo, he can still do bits. So, and I think with the likes of Kounde coming in, he'll learn a lot from Silva. I partly agree with you, to be honest, Jem. He should be considered for the player of the season. But to me, I think it's going to get a Mount, to be honest.
Outputs over being clinical throughout the season, or being consistent throughout the season. Fair enough. I hear that. All right, we've got Dan. I'm going to give you your boy, innit? Mason Mount.
Minerals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, player of the year. Back to back. What more do you want from the kid? Now, you know what it is, though? Last year, he was playing his natural game, right? He would drop into midfield. He would hustle about, win the ball. His ball recoveries were crazy.
Yeah.
His ball progression was crazy. All these things he was top 5 in the league for. And he was creating a lot of chances. But when you create a lot of chances and we don't score, and you know what I mean? That continues time and time over.
You saw that, Jim.
When you create chances and you don't score, you know what I mean? You have to change your game because we have to win. And a caveat I'll say is the games that he scored in, he's had good games. You know what I mean? He's had bad games otherwise, but the games that he's put the ball in the net, there are rarely any bad games in there that he's covering it up where he's been terrible and then he scores, like West Ham. The December period where he went, I think 4 or 5 games where he scored and assisted for me, it was really good and he was really clutch. So I think 29 GA. I didn't expect that this year. Anyone who spoke to me, I thought he would get better, but not to that level. So,
I guess the thing that will get people off his back down, I don't know if you'll agree, is even if his numbers go down, is that if he scored, and I know he has scored in big games this season, but more big games. So if he scores more against the top 6, and if we get to another final, in a final as well, that will get more of him. I do believe he is the most criticised Chelsea player. No matter if he plays well, he gets criticised.
But here's the thing, though, with if he does any more than that, he's at the world class level, and that's what we want, right? We want him to get to a world class. But he's not world class right now, so
no, exactly. And
like people expecting that.
Either, right? He shouldn't.
You know what I'm saying? Like people expect because again,
exactly,
the big game thing. Both games against City, he didn't play, right?
It's true.
You know, so and then the games against Liverpool were difficult games. He should have scored in the first game, definitely. So you can put that on him. Arsenal, he produced in both Arsenal games. He produced in both Spurs games, and he produced against West Ham, right? So those are the other top 7 teams. So that's kind of a myth where he doesn't produce. It's just that he's not world class yet. So I'm not expecting him to.
He's also been robbed of assists as well, hasn't he, Dan? When you think about it, he's been robbed by quite a lot of assists when you think about it. And the amount of stuff that he's put on plates for people as well. Like, that's another thing.
Some of it is part of the game. You're not going to score. You know, players aren't going to score every chance that you create. But also, we need more production from actual attackers. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean.
Midfielder playing there shouldn't carry your season.
That's what I mean. It's a disgrace.
The most criticism.
It's a disgrace that he gets the most criticism for putting him probably overperforming with his stats.
I would agree with David's comment too.
Yeah,
I think Reece would have actually won it if he stayed fit. I agree as well. I think Reece would have won it.
I agree with Daniel. I think if we actually build this squad the way it's supposed to be built and put Mount in his natural position, then you'll see him probably perform even better. His stats might go down a bit, like assists or goals, but his overall performance, I believe, will get better. You'll see him have more of an influence on the game.
Yeah.
That's what I think. He's an 8. He's an 8.
So, yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I mean, yeah, like we talk about, and we've given a lot of players blighs just based on the fact that they're playing out of position. You know, they've been moved around a lot. You could say the same for Mason Mount in some ways. You know, like he's not really an out-and-out attacker. You know, we've been relying on him to play that role. He's actually said it himself. He's actually a number 8. That's where he's most comfortable. So I don't know. I don't have a player of the year this season. I'm not going to lie to you guys. If you guys are right, you guys are right in that the fact that like Reece James hasn't played enough games to qualify.
I agree,
but I don't think that there's anybody in the squad that has given me a season where I'm like, yes, man, that was like exactly what I expected of you, and you've given me, you know, more than I expected. You know, like I just don't have one. I really don't think that we had a season of the ages where one player was a standout player for me, at least. I don't know.
Daniel says, time to trigger some Chelsea fans. Put Mount Player of the Year, Gem, and leave him there. So Daniel's put his first super chat in for Mason Mount, £5, guys, already, which locks him in there. The only way you can move him from there is to put more than that. But Johnny's saying Mount carried us again. They said Silva last year, and this year Player of the Year is Mount. Look, it is what it is, isn't it? I would preferably choose Silva. If Reece James would have stayed fit, I would have chose Reece James. Mason Mount deserves it. He should be in the discussions anyway for his outputs. But we've got to move. We've got Ziyech left, Matty. Ziyech, what do we do with Ziyech? Who putting Ziyech? Save the best for last.
Can I put him in shocking and must sell?
You do whatever you want, mate. It's your choice.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, we hear all this Ajax tax that he's going to be a baller. The first season he was average, and in this season he's gone back to being less. He hasn't really done a lot, really, for me to praise him, really. But that's just me. So, I just don't feel inspired when he's in the starting 11, if I'm honest.
No.
I've already got the exclusive here saying Todd Bowley and Carr, the new owners of Chelsea, official statement is incoming once the lawyers have signed it off. But again, they're still not an official statement, so I'm not listening to that. Everyone else, just quickly, guys. Ziyech, what do you think?
I think he had a good 6 weeks. That's it. In January to February. I don't like. I think Couch said when he voiced that he just doesn't suit what Tuchel's trying to do. He's not a Tuchel type player. He's not this system type. He's not this system player. I don't know what he offers really.
Doesn't suit our system. Again, another one.
No. And he's so left-footed, so it's easy to play against. He just whips the ball and hopes someone hits it in. That's all he does.
In terms of the England squad, just to answer who's in it. Mark Gay did make it. Reece James is there. The usual. Fikayo Tomori's made it as well. Conor Gallagher's there. Mason Mount's there. Who else we got? Tammy Abraham's there as well. Harry Kane and Saka, Grealish, Sterling, and Foden. So, yeah, it's pretty much predictable. Why does James Ward-Prowse keep making this England squad? I do not know. But
Free kicks.
Very weird. Very weird. I want to rate Thomas Tuchel, guys. That's the last thing we're going to do before we end the show. Thomas Tuchel's overall performance for this year. When you look at where we've put the players and how they perform, some people would say, well, because there's so many in shocking or below average, maybe it's Thomas Tuchel because he's not getting the best out of them. I don't think that's the case. I think it's a player thing. I just think that they've just not been good enough. They've let him down in a lot of games for me this season as well. I think Thomas Tuchel, when you look at it, two trophies, could have won another two, didn't win them. We're lost on penalties. Again, it's a shame really we didn't get one of them. Finishing third, should have finished third more comfortably. Let's not argue. Let's not lie about it. We should have finished it more comfortably. Along with then context, with the context being the club being sanctioned, having to be the forefront of dealing with the media, along with a December period of lots of COVID players. We lost all our forward line at one point because of COVID. There's only like one or two forward lines available. We lost players in December period as well. Lukaku, Werner, Reece James. In a busy period of games that he had to manipulate, use the players that he's got, which we found out is not good enough because our depth has been found out. Let's be serious on that. I don't think it's a poor season for him. I definitely don't think it's a wow season. I would go with a probably bang in the middle and just say, or just over a bang in the middle and just say a decent season. Not great, not crap. I'll just say good. A good season.
I would say the exact same thing. And let's not forget that he's going through a divorce, which is also very taxing emotionally and whatnot. So, I would say exactly the same. Good season, just above average. We had high hopes coming into the season. I don't think that he's actually utilized the squad as well as he could have, to be honest. Like, there's players that specifically suit a specific style of football that he was using in a completely different way, and then we're expecting them to perform. And it's just like, you got to know what you have. You got to work with what you have. So in that respect, you have to think that he's not really excelled with this Chelsea squad. He's basically just taken us to where we are, which is basically a good team, okay, but nothing beyond that for me.
Yeah. What about you, Dan?
Yeah, I think I have to echo what he said. A good season, so okay. 7. I think like you said, out of 10. 7 out of 10. He's had to deal with some difficult moments during this season. He's also, made some decisions that were questionable. But so overall, I would say, it's a balance of 7 for me.
Matty?
So he's been a brilliant manager, great custodian for the club. He's actually dealt with difficult times. He's probably the best manager we could possibly get, and he's going to do really well, hopefully, when he's backed. So that's all I can say, really. We just need to back him because I think he's got a tactical brain, which is what I was after for years when we were losing Sarri, and then we brought in Frank Lampard, and I wanted somebody who was tactically competent. And we finally got that tactical, competent manager. We just need to back him. So,
yeah, I hear that. Winner server.
I feel like I think Daniel said it. There was some decisions. I think he needs to improve in areas within game management at times this season. I will say this: since the sanctions, he's become the de facto face and leader of this club, which is unfair for him to do. Everything he was asked, all these questions, he's had to deal with this. All this crap placed on him from the government. And he's had to do it with this squad, which we now know is not a very good squad. So I actually give him an 8 out of 10 for what he's had to deal with and how he's managed to get this squad to third. But caveat, Gem, we should have still third way mathematically before the last game of the season. Do you know what I mean? We should have done that. That's my only thing. We said, okay, that's fine, but we should have still. I mean, losing to Everton's unacceptable in my opinion. Games like that, it's just unacceptable. So I think I'll just prefer 7.5. I'll go 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I just think he needs to be back now. And obviously we've got Todd Bowley coming in very soon. And that leads me to my last thing before we end the show is this. How good has this man been in his era at Chelsea Football Club? And, I wouldn't say give him a rating because it's just stupid to do that because of what he's succeeded and done at this football club. I do think if we're being slightly critical, which is, and I don't really want to do this because I think he's that great. We should have been more consistent in the league and back managers rather than let them go as much as we did. But that was our sort of per se of winning, ditching, getting new, and we become successful with it. In fact, we become the most successful football club in England, in that period, in his period, we say, of running Chelsea Football Club. And you've got to take your hats off to him. The fact that I've seen my football club win every single trophy possible with my own eyes is so much more better than any Liverpool fan or any fan that comes here and tries to use history that they've not seen with their own eyes against you. Because when they say we've won a Premier League, but we're bigger than Chelsea because we've got history and that's why we're better, I laugh because I always look at them and I say, well, have you seen your football club lift every trophy possible with your own eyes? Yeah. I wouldn't change that for the fucking world. It doesn't matter how many trophies you've got in your past. I was in the generation of seeing my football club win it all. And and I thank him for it. Without him, we would have never had this. And he's loved all the way to the end of selling Chelsea, which looks like it's going to be today. You'll never find a manager like him in the way that he's been. I'm telling you now, he's been owner. He's been unreal,
right.
Absolutely unreal.
You're right. I've only really very disagreed with him twice, and that was when he interfered in Mourinho's third season and brought Shevchenko in and cost us a three-peat title, and when he sacked Ancelotti. There's the only two times I've really gone, what are you doing? I'll leave a statement like this about Abramovich. No player, no manager, no fan. He is the most important man in this club's history. Okay? The most important man. No one comes even close. If Todd Bowley does half or three quarters in the next 10 years or whatever, though, then he would have done a fantastic job as well. But for me, there's no person in Chelsea's history that's more important than Roman Abramovich.
Thank you. Yes, true. We got to thank him, mate. I can't believe what he's done. Couch, go on. What you saying?
No, I don't have anything more to say. I think you guys both have covered it pretty much to a T. Like he's been instrumental in everything that is Chelsea to this point right now. So just gonna miss him obviously, but now we're in the Todd Bowley era. We just got to hope that he can at least take the baton and run with it, or if not do that, then at least maintain what we've done. Like he's got to come in now and at least I don't want to say that he has to match what Abramovich has done, because that's going to be very difficult to do, especially within the era where he has to build a stadium and all that stuff as well. So
I feel sorry for Bowley. He's trying to. Try and match.
Yeah.
In some ways, he's never going to be able to do it unless we go on a madness and win multiple leagues and a couple of more Champions Leagues during his time. Then I
just want Bowley to be his own version. Do you know what I mean? But show the right what's the word? The right I can't say the word. Like the right meaning. Like he's doing the right thing. If he just does the right thing and we are still successful, but he does it in a different way to Roman Abramovich, I'm happy. I'm not expecting him to be the mirror image of him. For me, it's merely impossible, because you look at the emotional side of the way Roman Abramovich was to this club, that's gone. Being that there's a consortium involved now as well, we're not going to have that at this club. But now we've got this consortium. All I want them to do is just back the manager, back the football club, not from just the short term, but in the long term, meaning that we are successful and we continue winning. Maybe not as much as we did under Roman. We might not win Champions League. I mean, under Roman, we won Champions League every 7-8 years. The Premier League every 4 to 5. It's coming 6 years now, isn't it? So just get us back to dominating domestically, and I'll be happy if you can do that. And get us to win 1 or 2 on the way, and win some FA Cups and this, that, and the other. Yeah. For me, he's doing the right thing, and that's the most important. Do not let us drop off like United, and do not let us drop off like Arsenal. That's the big thing for me.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens from there. Dan, anything you want to say?
Not for me, man. Big up Todd. Americans own the club now, so it's my club.
Daniel's expecting free season tickets.
It's his club. What Dan's saying, it's his club. Matty?
honestly, to be robbed of your club is horrible. I would say that the guy deserves a statue, if anything, for the amount of work that he's done, and the fact that he doesn't want the £1.5 billion back is really generous. My only gripe with him was what Winter Surfer actually touched on, which was sacking Carlo Ancelotti. That was the only one that, for me, that I actually didn't like Roman for. But the guy has done so much for this club, and it's actually been, for some of us, it's quite emotional a little bit, because you're saying goodbye to somebody who's benefited you, and it's benefited the club. So, and it's a club that you've supported. So for me, I would, it's just a shame that it's had to end this way. But I think what he did do for us was he left us in good hands with Thomas Tuchel. And he's also left us in good hands, hopefully, with Todd Boehly, because I think he's got big shoes to fill, Todd Boehly, I must admit. He's got very big shoes to fill. So let's hope we get even a patch of what he's done. But there's only one Roman, man. There's only one Roman. So,
For sure. A Pep and Klopp error, my arse. It's Pep and error and Klopp is living it. They're arguing in the chat with Liverpool fans. Don't bother wasting your breath, guys. Listen, thank you everyone for being on this show. So I want to thank Lorenz, Andrew, Couch Critic, Dan, and Matty as well. There won't be any streams for me for them. That's probably the next 5, 6, maybe 7 days, depending. I will try and with the new owner thing, if I can, if I've got a free time, I'll try and do it. But in terms of transfers, probably not going to hear anything until next week onwards. If any Jules Kounde or anything that breaks, I'll try and get something in at some point. But I am moving house, so I've got a lot to do this week or so. So it is a little bit of a break.
Jeb. Big up. That's a big move, man.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a break for me. Probably needed after a 60-game season and doing how many streams that we have done on there, which is crazy as well. But we're growing, and it's nice to have the community and all you guys here as well. And I just hope going into this next season we have a lot more fun, a lot more positive outputs rather than what we've seen in the last sort of end of this season, which has been quite negative, along with the sanctions of Roman and how our football club's gone through and that. But now it's a new dawn. It's a Todd Boehly era. We have to give him the opportunity. We have to back it. It's not about the short term. It's about the long term. And we just now got to see what they can do in charge. And hopefully it's for the good. That's all I'm going to say. So, guys, big up to every single one of you. Make sure you smash the like before you leave. Subscribe if you're new. Leave a comment below on this show as well. And peace out. Take care of yourselves, guys. See you in a bit. Take care.
Pulisic.